spiked out. I could trip a referee. Tell by my attitude that I most definitely from.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another week of This Week in Startups. Holy cow, Tyler, another big week here at Mahalo, another crazy week.
Yeah.
We don't have Alex anymore. Everybody knows Alex Mueller went to New York. He left This Week in Startups, Calicanis Conferences, LLC, blah, 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 blah. But the place is actually not falling apart. We're at about 80% capacity.
Other than the big news is the rain.
It's been raining in LA for a week straight. I saw a tree fall down in Venice. I didn't see it fall down, but a car was crushed. Yep. And basically in Los Angeles, when it rains, people panic.
It's an event.
It's an event. The whole week, this is all people are talking about.
10 o'clock news is half the news is about the rain.
Haiti, 7.0 earthquake.
Yeah, no. Rain in LA.
Yeah, rain in LA.
Yeah. Send your money, folks.
Send your money to the people in Los Angeles who have to buy umbrellas.
Yeah.
Forget about it. But there is a big Haiti thing tonight, I should say. 8 p.m. tonight on MTV, also on the interwebs, I understand. Big thing for Haiti, and that's very cool. We got a great show for you today. I always love when my old friends are on the show. Probably about half the shows so far have been old friends of mine. Everybody knows I started the Silicon Valley Reporter back in 1996. This was a magazine I started when I was 25 years old about the internet industry in New York City. In fact, a lot of people don't know that. Most people know me for Weblogs Inc. I meet young people who were, in 1996, they were 6 years old or 16 years old. They weren't in the industry yet.
Right.
So they're 20 years old now or 30 years old now. Is that right? 1996 plus 14 years would make them, if they were 16 then, they would be 30 now. So even 30-year-olds, if you're a 30-year-old watching the show, when you were 14 or whatever, I was doing this magazine. And this was a magazine about this new thing called the internet. And I was covering all the companies in New York. It grew very big, got to 300 or 400 pages, blah, blah, blah. And I made a lot of friends at that time. I was a journalist for 7 years. That's how I learned everything. I used to sit around, talk to CEOs. That was my job, was to talk to CEOs and ask them questions. And when you do that for a living, you get smart because you just, every week, 2 or 3 times, I'd interview somebody. Then I took a break from that, became CEO of my own companies, and now I'm actually sort of, in some ways, returning to that with the show, interviewing people. And that's why I have so much fun doing this. It reminds me of when I was a kid doing the magazine. At that time, I met a guy named Phil Kaplan. They called him Pud. He was a designer, a web designer or something at some local agency. I don't remember. But anyway, he created a site called F'd Company.
That's not exactly what it was called.
Well, it was explicitly the F word.
Right.
We're trying to keep the iTunes rating. So anyway, he started a site called F'd Company. And I realized this was a brilliant site when I had 70 employees, maybe 5 or 10 of which were working on our email, newsletter, and website, spending $500,000 a year on the email, newsletter, and website. And this guy with one site, doing one sentence about companies going under, was getting like 100 times the traffic as us. And it really was a blog. It was the original blog. And he's with us today. He's moved on since then to create 2 amazing companies. One was AdBright, which was backed by Sequoia Capital, which is the venture capital firm that backed some companies you might have heard of, like Yahoo, Google, Electronic Arts, Atari. I mean, a lot. Cisco. I mean, these are the big companies. Google. And that company is doing very well, AdBright. Some of you guys who have websites, you might use them as an ad network. And recently, he came up with a very interesting idea that he showed me a couple of months ago called Blippy. And I actually was an angel investor in it. I was lucky enough to get into the deal. Very hard deal to get into. And he's here with us today. Phil Kaplan, welcome to the program.
Jason, thank you for having me.
So cool to have you on the program, finally.
By the way, I want to clarify, and we'll get into Blippy. The idea for Blippy actually was formulated by Blippy's co-founders, Ashwin Kumar and Chris Estreich, who I met and was just helping advise, and then sort of joined the company full-time as a co-founder after that.
Yes.
Just making that clear.
Very important, and this is actually, it's great that you did this, because you know what this is? This is about giving credit where credit is due, and when you're starting a company and founding a company, this is essential as an entrepreneur to do, especially when you're the CEO. If you start taking credit for things that are not exactly your idea.
I'm not the CEO either.
Oh, well, you're one of the co-founders.
I'm a co-founder and president.
Whatever you are.
Yeah, I'm the fun,
Yeah, well, you're the front man in some ways.
Done. Yeah, I'm
you're
definitely
like the front man.
Yeah.
So you met these guys when you were an entrepreneur in residence at Charles River Ventures.
Exactly. I was in EIR at Charles River Ventures, which, by the way, is the best job in the universe because you get paid a really good salary to basically have no responsibilities and sit in on pitches and help the VCs while you sort of work on your own thing. The idea when you're in entrepreneur in residence is that you'll maybe start your own business or join one of their businesses.
It's a very loose title.
It's a really loose title, and
everybody wants that title, and in fact, maybe 10 or 20 people a year get that title. And it is an exclusive thing. Most entrepreneurs don't get it. The VC firms do this. Why? Why do they ask you to become an entrepreneur in residence?
VCs,
and why does so small number of people get it?
VC firms typically invest in businesses that they think have a lot of potential or that they think have really great founders or whatever. The way that I see it, in a venture capital firm will hire an EIR. It's sort of their way in investing just in a person, saying, okay, you don't have a business yet, but maybe you will have a business or you'll do something interesting. And if you do, we'd like to be a part of it.
Right.
Also, we would like somebody in the office who's maybe, whose ear is a little closer to the ground. And, like, for example, at Charles River Ventures, where I was in EIR, when advertising companies would come in and pitch, being that I founded AdBright, I could really help.
Right. And this is a big compliment because they don't do it many times. They usually have
It's a huge honor. It's amazing.
It's a huge honor.
Yeah,
so to get it is a very big deal, I think. And it basically says you're so valuable that even if you don't start another company, we'll risk hiring you and paying you a pretty blown out salary just in the case that you do start a company.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's funny though because it's sort of this backward thing where it's such a cushy, nice job and it's flexible and there's not a lot of responsibility and you're hanging around all these cool people. You kind of don't want to start a company. You're kind of like, this is the life.
VCs have the life. It is true.
It's not a bad gig.
I gave the award for Best Venture Capitalist to Excel Partners at the Crunchies.
I remember.
And I thought to myself, my God, they're giving an award to people who take 3 or 4 weeks vacation in the winter and then another 3 or 4 weeks vacation at the break when their kids are off from school, and then another 3 or 4 weeks or 6 weeks off in the summer. These VCs are off more than they're working.
Yeah,
while their entrepreneurs are busting their butts. It's crazy, but you know what? They have the money, so they get to do what they want.
Yeah, and in theory, the VCs have done something to get to that point.
In theory.
In theory.
In theory, like go to Harvard Business School.
Well.
Or, in theory, have a failed company.
At CRV, the investors are typically entrepreneurs who've had success.
That's true. I'm just busting on VCs. Yeah. We love our VCs.
We do.
Who else do we give 30% of our companies to call us constantly and ask us what our strategy is for when Google comes into our market? I mean, what is the strategy? When people ask you that as an entrepreneur, what is your strategy when Google comes into your market? I mean, is that the most annoying thing ever?
Yeah, it's definitely the most frequently asked question. Yeah. Not necessarily by VCs, but by everybody.
Sure.
And
journalists.
Of course, the canned response, big companies move slowly, and we're going to do what they do, and blah, blah, blah. At one point when Google came in, there was already like Alta Vista. And,
right.
Right. I've had that answer many times as of you.
So annoying. So annoying. VCs, do me a favor. If you are working with an entrepreneur, the 3 most annoying things you can do. Number 1 is ask about China. And number 2 is to ask about Google. And number 3 is ask for the deck and the documents from the board meeting 2 weeks beforehand. We write that stuff up the day before. We're very busy running the business. Don't ask for the deck a month in advance. Everything's going to change by that time, right?
Yeah. Typically, like mine, like at AdBright, Sequoia would ask for the deck about 24 hours in advance. So they were pretty good about it.
Yeah,
that said, I don't think I ever gave them the deck 24 hours in advance. It was usually that morning because I'd been up all night putting the deck together.
Also, you give them the deck, then they can spend all night thinking about questions. You give them the deck on the spot, they got to think on their feet.
I know a guy who, has whose office is based in a different state than his VCs, and his VCs would all fly in their private jet to his office, have the board meeting, and then fly back, and the VCs would all get to talk about his company on the jet on the way back.
I know this.
So
I'm not saying who it is.
I'm not saying who it is. So he stopped having the board meetings at his office, and instead he went to the VC's office.
Right.
Or after the meeting, all the VCs go back into their office, and it's over.
Right, because they don't want them to have board meeting number 2.
Yeah, board meeting 2 in the plane.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, crazy VCs. Anyway, you know what else has been pretty crazy?
What's that?
Bing's ability to iterate. Bing, Bing, Bing. Bing's been a sponsor of the show now for a couple of weeks. We're so happy with Bing. And the map product is probably, it's one of the top 3 things they've done to date, I think. They have, I see people tweeting, I knew that they're doing good stuff when just one of my regular friends from Brooklyn who's coming out here says, I looked on the Faircaster thing on Bing and it said I should wait to buy tickets. And I'm like, my God, this person just said Bing to me. You know, when your relative starts saying Bing to you, that means they're getting some penetration in the market. And the reason is because they're making kick-ass products. And go check out Maps, because the map product is very good.
You know what else they did new this week was the recipe thing?
They did a recipe data.
Yeah, you type
structured data.
You put in flank steak, and it's got all the recipes and how much fat and calories are in it.
Really?
Yeah. Check it out.
You want to do the commercials now?
No, I'm just saying.
These guys are not paying for Tyler to do the commercials.
But it's that impressive that I'm giving my...
I know, but I have to go through the map bullet points, and now you're just taking all the airtime
yeah, but
to go over the recipe.
You could read up on a few bullet points while I pontificate on how cool the recipes are.
You're right. The recipe thing is amazing. But the map thing... now you got me thinking about the recipe thing. That's what are you saying?
It says how much fat is in the recipe.
I need that because I'm on the zone diet.
I know. It tells you how many calories, how much fat.
But that's kind of more interesting than the map thing. Hold on a second. What is that? Recipe dot Bing? I'm going to guess.
Flank steak on Bing.
Just Bing.com.
Just Bing it, yeah.
Just Bing it. And what do? I say like
flank steak.
Flank steak.
Is that a recipe?
Recipes. I'll say flank steak.
That's an ingredient.
No, you just type in flank steak without.
No, actually, this is pretty cool. Actually, forget about the maps. The maps are great. And they've been advancing them, and they're much faster. But here, this is interesting. Pull up my screen, please. Flank steak recipes. You're right. And look at this. You can click on that.
Click on the recipes.
And, yeah, see, what they're doing is, this is what the power set.
Hold on. Calories, fat, low, high.
Soy, scallion. Okay, I like that. You know what they're doing? This is the structured data from PowerSet, which was at TechCrunch 50. Yep. Or TechCrunch 40 was bought for $100 million by these guys. And they're actually, this is an acquisition that's working for Bing and for Microsoft. So when everybody says, like, hey, you know, you get bought by a big company and it doesn't work, this is actually an example of it working. I give them a lot of credit. They're very hungry, and they're doing a great job. And we love them for sponsoring the show, most of all. You guys get free content. We put a lot of time and effort into the show. And the reason we are able to do that, the reason we're able to buy all these cameras and lights, fly Phil down here on a private jet first class, and my driver picked him up.
Middle seat and coach.
Middle seat and coach, yeah. And Phil's not a small guy. Is that they're doing great stuff, and they're supporting the show. And another thing they're doing is a contest. So everybody who is on the Shark Tank over the next couple of weeks is going to be entered into a contest. If you win, and I guess Tyler and I will pick, Alana will pick the winner, who we think gave the best pitch over the next couple of weeks, is going to, on February 26th, be awarded a half day of consulting by a Seattle-based ad agency, Creature. Creature's the name of the PR firm. So you're basically going to get a half day of PR and marketing from like one of these uber expensive PR firms that you can't afford as a startup. And that's a pretty cool thing, and Bing is going to sponsor that. So good luck to all of our Shark Tank contestants. If you want to be on Shark Tank, contact @This Week in Startups. Let's also take a moment to thank DNA Mail. DNA Mail, everybody loves DNA Mail. They provide hosted Microsoft Exchange and Google App email. And it's really economical, and you get uptime, and you don't need to screw around with IT. WebSpy lets you monitor all the server activity, from employees to internet access to mail servers to web hosts, analyze traffic levels, patterns, errors, and more. It's a total log analysis solution, and you're going to want to go check out WebSpy. And, of course, PowerVPS. They provide fully managed virtual private hosting as low as $59 a month. And if you use the TWIST, TWIST, code, you get 25% off. And I saw some people were actually using that on Twitter. And I'm going to add to that a little something. I always like to add a little something to the mix. I got these guys at Jawbone. They're not a sponsor. But you may have seen earlier this week, I tweeted about the Jawbone. Because I've had these before. And, you know, I generally don't like the Bluetooth headsets. Because historically, they fall out of your ear. And I don't like the way they look because they've been huge. You know, you look like you're a Borg. Do you use a Bluetooth headset?
I have never, ever used one.
You've never used one?
I've never even tried one.
Exactly. So, are you lobbying now?
No, but let me finish. It
feels like a little bit of a lobby.
No, let me finish.
I'm going to let you finish.
I have never even tried a Bluetooth headset.
All right.
Never even tried one.
All right.
I saw, because Jawbone, first of all, is so dedicated, and this is not an ad, mind you.
No, they're not paying.
They don't do anything else. They are so dedicated
That's all they do.
They happen to be a Sequoia company.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're a Sequoia company. I knew that.
Yeah, but they are so focused on just doing that. They're not doing 50 other devices and gadgets and everything.
They're getting it right.
Right. They're doing it with a passion.
Thank you.
And I saw the newest version
insight.
that they have, this icon.
This is it. This is the Jawbone icon. I have it right here.
Incredible.
Anyway, I have it. They sent me a bunch. And, you know, like, I never get these to work. But with this one, it actually works. And I've been using it, and I can actually, like, hear, and it's, like, crystal clear. And then I use my wired ones for my iPhone. It didn't work as good. And they don't fall out now, and it's tiny, so you don't look like a, what do they call that, a blue tool when you got the big one over here?
A blue douche?
A blue D-bag? Yeah, no, you don't look like that. Anyway, they sent me a bunch of these. So what I'll do right now is, whoever thanks the sponsors on Twitter, I'll tell you what, first I'm going to give one to Tyler. Here you go, Tyler, catch. Tyler gets
Thank
one.
you.
There you go. And here, they sent me a bunch of these. I gave away a bunch of them. I'm going to give away 2 more right now. Whoever thanks the sponsors, at Bing, at DNA Mail, at WebSpy, at PowerVPS, you just say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, at PowerVPS, at WebSpy, at DNA Mail, at Bing. You say thank you to those 4 people, and maybe say thank you to Ustream, because they sponsor the program as well. Say thank you to those folks. We'll pick 2 people during the show. We'll announce it during the use who won a Jawbone, since they're giving me all these Jawbones. It's nice of them. And they're also fans of the show. I'm going to have the CEO on the show.
Yeah.
I'm going to take this out right
I think they're really confident in this particular product.
It works. You know what the thing I hated about these before, Bluetooth headsets, is that you could never tell if they're powered on or not. Yeah. So they put a little tiny little power thing here so you can switch it. Like, is that rocket science? Like you can turn the thing off, you know? It's like, it's not really that difficult. The other thing was, when you used to use these, the way you would answer them was by pushing it in. So then I would always be adjusting it because it would fall out.
Oh, and pushing it?
And I push it in, I hang up on the person. So now, this is a genius move. They put the answer button back here. So you push the button in like this, going that way, not in. And it works, and they don't fall out of your ear anymore.
Good design.
It's a really good design. I can't believe it. Because see that little loop here? Anyway, I talk enough about this program, this product. Here, Phil, you get one too.
Oh.
Will you use it or no? You
Maybe.
try it. Let's try it. Because
I'll try
I agree with you. You're not sold on it.
Would you try my used? We could give away a used waxy jawbone.
No, I think people are interested in that.
Right.
If you don't like it, then you give it to your wife.
All right.
All right, so
She'll
now we've done all the plugs, we've done everything. I've given away the thing, no problem. I also have this Nexus 1 here. I've got 2 of these left I'm giving away, I think. This is the Google phone. It's like $600.
Yeah.
After this show, this is a special announcement. Can I get a special announcement? This will be a good test to see if somebody's paying attention. Special announcement? My God, we've got so much to do on this episode, and I've got so many announcements. Anyway, special announcement is after the show, we are starting a second show. It's a big announcement. Kevin Pollak's show is how this all started. Kevin Pollak does a show here at the studio. Then I said, you know, Kevin's having so much fun. I'm going to do my own show, This Week in Startups. I asked Leo Laporte if it's okay if I use This Week In.
Yeah.
He said, okay. So I bought the domain name thisweekin.com. I said, Leo, is it okay if I buy the domain name thisweekin.com? He said, yeah, I don't own This Week In. You don't have to ask me.
Yeah.
He's pretty cool about that stuff. Because everybody's doing This Week In, This Week In.
Well, he was Twit, and then Twitter came out.
Yes,
and that
exactly.
Was a confusion.
But he's been a mensch to me about it. So I own thisweekin.com. So I said, hey, can I put your shows on This Week In? You know, it'd be like a directory of shows. And then I'll put my show on it. But then I said, you know what? This Android thing's going to be big. I want to do a show just about Android. Immediately following this show is This Week in Android. This is our first, it's our 3rd show, but we're going to try it. Mark Jeffrey is going to host it. And so This Week in Android is starting next. If you tweet right now, tune into twiandroid.com at 3 p.m., you will be entered into a drawing to win this Nexus 1, and Mark Jeffrey will give it away during the show, which is immediately following the show. That's it for announcements. I promise that's it. You've seen the show before.
Most of them.
Most of them?
Almost all of them.
Really?
I end up watching what I do is I go to YouTube, I watch them, because your website, I know you have a new design coming out.
It's coming. The website
It's hard
sucks.
to find the videos on your site.
I know.
But you go to YouTube, you search for This Week in Startups, and I typically put them on at like midnight or 1 a.m. when I'm just sort of like finishing up my work.
Yeah.
And I find myself, it's like 3 in the morning, I'm like, okay, I got to stop watching this.
Yes, it does become addictive.
The Gary Vee one, the Peter Pham one.
Peter Pham was good.
Yeah, that was good.
There's
Sean
a whole...
Gold.
Sean Gold was great.
Friend,
Our friend. I'm trying to mix it up. Half people like I've known for 10 years and half people I don't know.
Yeah.
But people's favorite part of the show, I hear a lot, is the Ask Jason segment.
Yes.
So we're going to do an Ask Jason right now. It's going to be Ask Jason and Phil. Are we ready for Ask Jason? Maybe? That means we play the interstitial for Ask Jason, the little graphic. Boom. All right. Okay, so I hit the speakerphone. Okay, and now you have to turn off your speaker, caller. Jim, are you there? Jim. Wayne. Ah, Wayne. Oh, yes.
Jason.
Wayne. Wayne is calling from the 720. Where
Yes,
are you calling from?
Highlands Ranch, Colorado.
You're in Colorado?
Yes.
Boulder, Colorado? Which part of Colorado?
Denver.
Denver. Okay, well, I'm going to be there in 2 weeks for Open Angel Forum, and I'm speaking at the Tech Meetup, I think. They're negotiating the details of my announcement there. But you are calling into Ask Jason, and you have Phil Kaplan here, an amazing entrepreneur. What is your question for us?
Yeah, I mean, I'm an entrepreneur myself, been involved in a number of startups over the last decade and a half, and one of the things I've seen, Jason, of some of the recent startups that I've been taking a look at, because I'm involved in a new startup, that I remember when the days that we were getting angel funding in VC, they hammered us on the revenue model. What's your revenue model? What's your road to profitability? And in some of the startups I've seen today, it's real difficult for me to get my arms around as to exactly what is the revenue model. So that led me to my question to ask you, is it from an angel investor, is it more, I guess, important for you to have a company that's in a hot sector that has the possibility of attracting the eyeballs, let's say in a social networking environment, or having a company that's not in a sector that's really sexy but has a validated recurring revenue model and it has a tie-in to new technology, specifically mobile payments? So
Okay.
That's my question.
So this is an incredibly rambling but good question. I'm going to summarize the question, which is, as an angel investor, when you're looking at opportunities, how much does revenue and business model play into your decision to invest in that company? Is that a good summary of it, Wayne?
Yes, you articulated it well.
Okay, great. What do you think, Phil?
Well, typically, for me, it depends on if your business is like a social thing that's meant to be viral. In which case, I think the goal is to get as many users as possible. It's always good if a venture capitalist asks you what your revenue model is. Chances are, it's a business that's probably not like a viral social thing. And so they're like, well, we don't think that you're going to have 10 million users, but maybe you can have 10 million in revenue day one. And what I always say, typically to a venture capitalist who might ask that is, well, it's a lot harder to make something popular than it is to make money from something that's popular. Once you're already popular, it's easier to make money from that. So I might have, here's a few ideas I'll toss out of ways that we can make money, but step one is to have a crap load of users. Step two is to implement one of these revenue models.
Yeah, Phil is absolutely right. If you get to what they call scale, if you're able to build a great product, which then people embrace, making money becomes easy. So if you look at the case of Facebook, people said for year after year after year, how is Facebook going to make money? They're never going to make any money. And lo and behold, they get to 300, 400 million people. That is essentially, when you have 300 million people, put that in context. The Super Bowl stadium holds under 100,000. So, and the Super Bowl is watched by, I don't know, how many people watch the Super Bowl? 50 million? Yeah. 75 million? So now you're talking about every month you've got 6 Super Bowls going on. The Super Bowl makes a lot of money. 6 Super Bowls makes a lot more money. 6 Super Bowls 12 times a year makes a ton of money. You'll figure it out. So, but pulling back a bit to look at as an angel investor, which I've been doing more of, what I try to do is, and I had a meeting yesterday with Tyler. It was a really interesting meeting. Mm-hmm. I can't say what that company is yet, but I think we're going to do that, right?
Yeah.
You would do it.
I would.
Yeah. So Tyler's helping me with these things, and you think it's the right thing to do.
That one is such an underserved niche.
Underserved.
Way underserved.
Yeah.
And it's set to explode. There's a million ways to take it. So.
Yeah. So essentially, what I look at is the entrepreneur great? In Phil's case, actually, I was lucky enough to be an angel investor in Blippy. So actually, I can take you through the Blippy example. I know Phil. I told Phil, whatever your next project is, please let me know, because I know Phil's done 2 or 3 great things. I assume the 3rd or 4th is going to be even better. He's just getting warmed up. He's in his prime years. So that's called betting the horse, or the jockey, whatever. Then there's the market. Well, the market of commerce and social networks, we know that's growing. And this is a unique solution. So, of course, it's a no-brainer for me to invest in it. So I don't really think about the revenue. It's much easier to just think about, will this person make a great product that will scale and be embraced by users?
And I think it's part of the, like AdBright, my last company, an ad network,
Yeah.
the pitch was, here's how we make money. We bring in a site, we bring in a salesperson, they sell $100,000 worth of ads, the advertiser makes $200,000, we get to keep half of that, whatever. That was the pitch. With Blippy, the pitch really was, here's how we get big fast. And then I think once we got big, we said, yeah, there's a few ideas we have for revenue, but the goal is to get big for this one. So it depends on the product.
And so how do you, I'm going to ask a follow-up question on behalf of Wayne. How do you pick your angel investors? How do you pick your investors?
Well, for us, we're very fortunate in that there was a lot of demand. And I think I've lost some friends because they weren't able to get into the deal.
I think so.
And we're very lucky. That in no way ensures success, but it definitely gave us a great launch. When we picked angel investors, we really looked at people who, first of all, had to really like the product. So sure, we know a lot of, well-known people and people who we think can help and all this stuff, but I'll give you a good example. So Charles River Ventures and Sequoia Capital are both investors in Blippy. We knew that if we told people, hey, do you want to get in a company that's CRV and Sequoia, a lot of people say yes, because they'll just want to follow.
People in line.
So when we talked to angels, including you, we didn't tell anybody that.
Right.
We just said, we're doing a new thing. Do you want in? We already had Sequoia in. We already had CRV in.
I didn't know that.
We just wanted people who went, oh, I think your product's really cool, and I'm using it, and I think it's really interesting.
Yeah.
So from that list, then we picked people who we thought could really help us, and people who we thought could, A, help advise the company, but B, would also be influential in getting other people to use the product.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. And who are the other angels in the product?
The other angels are, well, it's you. Right. It's Evan Williams, the CEO of Twitter, and James Hong, the founder of Hot or Not, who's an old friend of mine and a product genius.
Right. He's somebody I look up to. So how do we do, Wayne? Is that helpful?
Yeah, I appreciate that. And one thing, if I could ask Jason with Philip.
And Ron Conway. Sorry, he's also an angel.
You always
he's a.
That's a default.
Yeah,
basically, if you're raising
I think of
money
him as much bigger than just an angel. But
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. He's an archangel.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Go ahead. Follow-up question, Wayne. Quickly.
Yeah. Well, Phil, I noticed that you're in the transaction of the credit card, and that's kind of the vertical. In fact, I can tell you it's exactly the vertical. We're dealing with religious institutions. And has that played into you in the involvement? I mean, you went from, looks like, from the ad portion now to where it looks like you're getting pieces of transaction. Is that correct?
He's asking you if you're getting a piece of the transaction.
We're not currently getting a piece of the transaction. It's, well, you talk about, when investors usually will say to us, oh, an obvious revenue model would be taking a piece of each transaction and doing an affiliate program. We haven't done that yet. It's something that we're thinking about, we're considering, and the question is not only do we do it, but do we take that affiliate money, or do we give it to the user who originally bought the product? There's a lot of ideas around that and other revenue ideas. But it's something we're considering for sure. That said, and this is my answer when people ask about that kind of thing, or at AdBright, people would always say, hey, I'm launching a new website, and I'm thinking about using you guys. Who should I use? My answer is don't turn on monetization, typically, until it's going to be significant. So, in other words, right now, do we care about $2, $3 a month, like coming in, or 200, or 2,000, or 3,000? Probably not.
Right.
So typically, when people ask,
because it takes your focus away.
Because it takes the focus away. We start looking at different numbers. The point is that amount of revenue, because we're lucky enough to have funding and we're just trying to build a big audience, is not so significant to us right now that we're really just not even thinking about it.
Okay. Good job. We'll talk to you soon. I will see you if you come to the Boulder Tech Meetup. Take care, Wayne.
I'll let you come in. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Cheers now. Bye. All right. Good job. That only took about 72 minutes. Let's take our Shark Tank. I need money. That's what I want. That's what I want. Okay. So we have Jim from the 720 on the line. Jim, are you there?
I am here.
Okay. You are getting to pitch There are 550 people in the chat room right now. There will be 25,000 people listening to this program over the next 2 months. The downloads have been extraordinary for This Week in Startups. More and more people are adding it on their iTunes. There will be a blog post written up about this. People will follow up on it later. YouTube. It'll be super distributed. So there is no pressure on you, Jim. You have 60 seconds. You're breathing way too much into the microphone. Don't panic. Step back from the microphone a little bit. And you know the rules. You have 60 seconds. And then I'm going to ask the chat room to rate 2 things. First, they're going to rate. Don't get nervous. They're going to rate your pitch, how well you pitched it, 1 to 10. And then they're going to rate your idea. So I always ask the chat room to rate those 2 things. I ask them to put pitch, colon, the number, then a space, then idea, colon, a number, 1 to 10. Are you ready? In 3, 2, go.
Okay, here we go. Very simply, Propidu helps companies increase their online conversions and boost sales by creating social proof around their products and services. And what I mean by social proof is testimonials and compliments. So we all know how important testimonials are, right? But the problem is they're a pain. They're a pain to collect, they're a pain to manage, and they're a pain to promote. So Propidu has decided to address these 3 pain points. One is we make it very easy for you to collect your testimonials. By creating a Propidu account, we give you links that you can put at all your customer touch points, your email signature, your transactional emails on your CRM, your blog, your website. These links put your customer 1 click away from giving you a testimonial. Second, we make it very easy to manage your testimonials by putting everything in the cloud. And from there, you can share, view, and basically leverage your testimonials much better. And lastly, we make it very easy to promote your testimonials. So once you approve them at the click of a mouse, you can stream them to your website, your blog, Twitter, and Facebook, and much more. So that's it. That's Propidu.
Okay, very good. You did it in under 60 seconds, which is great. The chat room is now going wild. Let me take a look at the chat room. Everybody in the chat room should tell us what they rated the pitch and what they rated the idea. Phil, you heard both. What did you think, Phil? Do you understand what the idea is?
Yeah, I think the pitch and the idea are really good. A lot better than I expected. Yeah.
Right. Well, we get a lot of people who, just so you know, for background, there's like 20, 30 people a week who want to be on the Shark Tank, so we pick a good one.
No,
we're not going to disrespect you with the bad one.
And personally, I'm a big fan of. I've actually been looking at a lot of businesses in the testimonial area. I think there's a huge amount of opportunity there for sure.
So, rate the pitch, rate the idea.
I think.
I mean, it's hard to do.
No. The pitch out of 10.
Yeah.
I would say the pitch was an 8 or 9.
Okay. Wow.
And I think the idea, I would say, from what you've told me, I think the idea is probably a 7, and I think it can go up to an 8, 9, or 10 if I knew more about distribution and how you plan on, getting this to be big fast.
Okay. So just to give you guys some feedback, people in the chat room are giving it a 7 or 8 in general, and they're debating right now, is this a feature of a larger marketer's tool set, or is it an individual business? I was intrigued when I heard about this. I am a little bit annoyed by people asking for testimonials. I get that a lot through LinkedIn. That being said, I have gone in LinkedIn and written testimonials for past employees without them asking.
But I think that's the point of his pitch. It's annoying. It's hard. If it were just right there and it was a box and it was on email and it was...
Let me ask a follow-up question here. How exactly does this work? I ask people for them and then you put them on your site. How exactly does it work?
So basically, it's a distributed application. It's really a platform. You don't even have to go to propidu.com to give somebody a testimonial. So you put these links on either your email signature, a case study with a beta customer. We did. He sent it out on his billing cycle in his email, and he said, we're using a new tool that's helping us generate some positive comments. If you've had a good experience, please share it with us. Click the link below. And he got back a tremendous response, 40, 50. And by the way, we call these testimonials props. If you haven't figured that out yet.
Yes.
He got back 40 or 50 glowing reviews. If you go to VYL Media So propidu.com/V as in Victor, YL. He loved it. And not only that, but his Propidu profile is showing up on page 2 of Google within 48 hours. So you got a link in Google that's got nothing but great things your customers are saying about you, and then when they go to your Propidu profile, of course, there's a link to his website. So he's thrilled. We also have one extra feature. We have a lead generation tool. So the best time to ask your customers for referrals is when they're giving you a compliment. So when you get done giving somebody a testimonial and hit submit, the system thanks you for your testimonial and then says, when you think about this great experience, who else comes to mind that might benefit from that same experience? And it could generate leads for your company as well.
I think the biggest hurdle for leaving reviews on places like Yelp and LinkedIn and so on is that you have to have an account and you have to find the right page, and it's like 5 clicks deep. I imagine with your site, it's just one click. I don't have to log in. I don't have to do anything. It's just right there.
Well, no, it is one click, and when you get the testimonial and you hit submit, it's going to want your name and email. So we don't want anonymous testimonials. And one thing that differentiates us with the other testimonial companies out there is that we socialize your testimonials. So when you're reading somebody's testimonials on their website and it's a Propidu testimonial, there's a profile attached to it. Now, some may be filled out more than others, but you can click on that testimonial and see who that person is. And instead of saying Jim M. from Denver, you can click on Jim Mueller and see who he is, who's propped him, and it socializes your testimonials.
Okay. So I'm looking at the site right now. I pulled up Propidu /VYL Media, and it's like a little mini profile, and it's got the things. I think the website design, I give the website design like a 6 right now. I think that's somewhere where you could improve. But you've got a working product, so that's great, and good luck with it. I think it is interesting. Of course, the big issue is going to be, people putting in reviews that are fake. The same issue Yelp has and reputation system, but you'll figure that out. I think, as the people in the chat room were saying, this is a feature set of a larger marketer's toolbox. So good luck building it out, and I think you did a good job on Shark Tank.
Thank you. And by the way, you've got a profile there. I've been curating your props for the last couple months. Propidu.com/twist.
I know, because you keep hitting me on Twitter, and I know the brand. But while you started pitching, and I was like, oh my God, this guy has emailed me and tweeted me like 1,000 times. You're relentless. You're somewhere between relentless entrepreneur and absolutely annoying, which is exactly where you need to be as an entrepreneur.
I think that describes you.
Exactly. I give you props for that. If you're not annoying some people, you're probably not doing a good job as an entrepreneur. Yeah. But I do.
And lastly, before you go, I want to offer all the Twist listeners a free full version account, because we do have a free version, but a full version featured account to all your Twist fans. If you're following Jason and following Propidu, just do pound Propidu in Twitter and ask for a free account. We'll give you one.
All right, there you go. Very nice. Well done, and we'll talk to you soon, Jim.
Thank you, Jason.
Cheers now. Bye.
Thanks.
Okay, he did a good job.
Yeah, he did a great job.
He did a great job. Solid product. And he's probably got some good places to go.
Sounds like
with
you might be able to have some, there's competition for how many followers can I have, maybe how many props do I have.
Yeah, you can have a leaderboard of
props. That'd be
kind
of cool, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would make this so you were forced to use your Facebook login in order to give the prop, because people are not going to go through the trouble of making fake Facebook accounts.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Twitter, it's easy to make fake accounts.
That's a good idea.
So that would be my suggestion. Okay, we have a second Shark Tank. We don't normally do more than one, but we're going to do 2 because you're here and you're an expert on these businesses. All right, second Shark Tank. Your name is Pete. You're calling from 339. I recognize that as the area code from the island on Lost. Is that where you're calling from, Pete?
Not quite.
Okay, where are you calling from?
Syracuse, New York.
Syracuse?
New York.
How many feet of snow are in Syracuse right now?
Far too many. 3, 4.
Are you a student, or why on earth are you in Syracuse?
Yes. Well, I was a student, but right now, me and my team are on a leave of absence. I would be a senior, but we're working from the Syracuse Technology Garden now.
Oh, excellent. So you've quit school. Your parents must be very proud. Now you're on Shark Tank. You've got the incredible entrepreneur Phil Kaplan here. He doesn't like to waste time. You know the rules. There's no pressure except for the tens of thousands of people who are going to judge you by your performance in under 60 seconds, starting in 3, 2, go.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Well, whether you like it or not, Google is now your first impression. Whether you're a job applicant, an author, a real estate agent, or a business owner, people shape their opinions of you based on what they find online. So if content about you online is inaccurate, negative, or just doesn't exist, your reputation suffers. For most people, their Google results don't represent who they are or what they do, and they don't know what to do about it. So Brand Yourself gives them a platform to diagnose, build, and manage their entire online reputation from one central hub. We've developed a simple process to guide you through taking control of your Google results without any technical knowledge. First, we help you build the content and profiles that you want people to find when they search for you. Next, we show you how to optimize that content so that it shows up at the top of Google over negative or irrelevant results. Then we help you proactively promote your profiles and content using social media. We serve daily tips and recommendations of next steps to take, including articles to comment on based on your field, people to engage with who have mentioned you, and people to connect to on LinkedIn and Twitter based on their field and geographic location. As you grow your web presence and your professional network on Brand Yourself, we track your progress by showing you visually how Google results for your name are changing. We also track how your digital footprint, credibility, and influence grow over time. The dashboard it breaks down our process and grades your progress each step of the way. And on top of the dashboard is our reputation feed, which we're going to release in February, which will stream real-time updates, notifications, and recommendations in a daily digest. The whole system is going to be $99 to unlock, and then $9 a month to keep active.
Okay.
And so far, all right.
All right. So you did your pitch. I'm going to ask everybody in the chat room, everybody who is hearing my voice right now, you get to rate these pitches, and I would like you to do so with the pitch, 1 to 10, and the idea. And right now you're getting crushed. People are saying 1, 2, 4, 5, 3 on the pitch. I'm seeing 4, 5.5, 6 on the idea, 8 on the idea, 4 on the idea. So let me give you the good news. The good news is if you had to pick which number would be higher, it would be the idea, not the pitch, because you can improve the pitch a lot easier than you can improve the idea. But you didn't do so good according to the audience on the pitch, but they do like the idea. I actually think this is a decent idea because I do get a lot of people who ask me, hey, Jason, I would like to remove something from the top 10 of Google when people say my name. I've had people in the past who we've written about on blogs, on Engadget or a TV Squad say, I would like to have this removed. Would you please remove it for me? On Mahalo, we will create Wikipedia topic-style pages on people in the news. And some of these people have done bad things, and they wind up emailing us and demanding we take down the page, which is an indication that people have no idea how to change their Google result and that their Google result does matter to them. In fact, I have inflicted a lot of pain on people like the Keiretsu Forum by putting Keiretsu Forum or Mike Scam Segal, these are scams, and used my PageRank, not on purpose, but just because I happen to have PageRank, I come up in the top 10 for their names. So you have found a pain point. I don't know that you've priced it correctly. $100 plus $120 a year sounds very expensive. And I'm not sure exactly what you provide to the people for that service. It seems like you provide them the ability to create a website. But let me ask Phil for his reaction before you start answering questions.
Well, full disclosure, I know Pete.
You know Pete.
Here's how I know Pete.
Okay.
I am on the board of advisors for Syracuse University.
Ah.
And I met Pete because he and his company came in and showed us a pitch, the board of advisors, of some stuff that Syracuse is helping.
You're on the board of advisors of a college?
Yeah.
Phil Kaplan is the board of advisors of Syracuse University?
Well, for
Did you go there?
Yeah, I went there.
Did you graduate?
Yeah, I graduated from my school at Syracuse, which is the I school at Syracuse. It's the School of Information Studies. It's like It's like there's business school and there's art school and then there's art
So are you on the board of the entire school or just that subsection?
No, just that subsection, but you know.
I want to get it clear.
Yeah,
It's a big honor to be.
It's a college at Syracuse.
This is still a big honor.
Oh, it's a huge honor. It's amazing.
Okay. Do they require you to make a huge donation to be on this?
No, they don't.
Interesting.
I do support the school, but it is not a requirement.
It was an interesting one. I got asked to be on the board of a school, like similar kind of a thing. And I was like, well, that's very interesting, and I'm very flattered. And they're like, yes, and it only requires a $30,000 donation a year.
Yeah, that is not unusual.
Wait a second. This is like those things where you get like honored by this big organization, and they're like, if you can sell 5 tables.
Yeah, that actually is a conversation within the actual board of advisors. Do we do something like that? We don't. I've been a member for 4 years. Anyway, we should get back to Pete.
You know about this guy.
Yeah.
That's why he pitched. Probably knew you were going to be here. What do you think of the idea? What do you think of his job?
First of all, on the pitch, he never said the name of his company.
Which would be critical.
Maybe you did somewhere in the middle.
But it wasn't memorable.
But it was, and he didn't say it right off the top.
Right.
I think the pitch was a little stiff and frankly a little confusing.
Yes.
I think the idea has a ton of potential. I know, like you talked about how people are always asking you to take stuff down. When I was running effedcompany.com,
yes,
multiple times a day I would get people who asked me to remove stuff, and I always did. Well, unless you sent me like a really mean like legal letter, then I would probably like
post that.
I would maybe remove the content and post the letter. But typically, if somebody just called and said, "Hey, can you take this down?" It's no big deal.
Right.
I took it down.
What was the worst thing somebody ever wrote? God. What was the worst thing that people wrote in the comments about somebody that actually turned out to be true?
Well, I had the, I don't know, it turned out to be true. I had the Secret Service come to my door because somebody had a death threat against the president. They called me, I didn't believe them. They faxed me, I didn't believe them. They came to my door and they were like, "Get rid of this," and tell us the IP address and stuff, which I didn't have. But
wow.
I mean, there were all kinds of stuff. There was a guy who said he was going to kill himself, and he was posting on the site like pictures of, I mean, it's not to bring down the mood, but of like a razor blade and a bottle of whiskey, and he was drinking it, and the NYPD came to my house, and they tracked him down. Turned out he was an NYU student, and
he was actually thinking.
And he was actually doing it, like he was in his room, like drinking an entire bottle, and they foiled it. They like knocked on his door. He got checked into a mental hospital.
Just as a general rule of thumb, if you think of killing yourself, F Company is not the place to go for help. You can just go to the suicide hotline or something.
Yes,
this is
yes. We did
an
help,
interesting
though.
choice, but you did help despite that.
There's been a lot of interesting stuff.
All right, so you believe that there is a problem. I believe that there is a problem.
I think there's a problem.
There's a pain point.
Yeah. Does Pete have the solution? A few questions. One, so it was hard to tell exactly from that pitch. Now, I happen to know a little more about what the product does, because this is my second time hearing the pitch, but from that pitch, it's hard to tell exactly what you do. So it was like, do you teach me how to do it? You said you give me the tools. Now, does that mean that you're teaching me how to do it, or you're doing it for me?
And it did feel a little like this could be a scam. Like, I'll solve your, like, SEO sounds like a scam.
It's an SEO for people.
Yeah, so it's, whenever you get into that SEO space, we're going to get your rank back, we're going to change your rank. I think you have to be extra careful to explain exactly what you're going to do and why you should do it with me, because it feels like a scam.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit.
I don't know if
I'm not saying this is a scam.
I don't know if I got the scam feeling as much.
I got a little bit.
But I got the confused, like I came out of it and I said, okay, I understand what the problem is. I don't exactly understand what your solution is. That's what I'd say.
Okay, good. And I'll ask the people in the chat room what they thought as well. People are wailing on you right now because the name of the company is brand-yourself. And if you put a dash in a domain name, how do I say it gently, Tyler?
Kind of like wearing sneakers to a funeral, or has a...
There you go. It's a wonderful insight, Tyler.
Insight from Tyler.
You don't wear sneakers to a funeral. And if
I don't get that.
You don't need to get it. It's an insight. It's way over your head. Okay, listen, Tyler's insights are above your pay grade, Phil Kaplan. No offense.
That's probably true.
If you wear sneakers to a funeral, people are going to look at you oddly.
Oh yeah, no.
And they're going to think I'll translate.
Yeah, no.
I know it's difficult for people.
It's hard.
But if you wear sneakers to a funeral, people are going to go, "What is wrong with that guy?" You're going to stand out. Nobody else is wearing sneakers to a funeral because nobody in their right mind would ever wear sneakers to a funeral because it's inappropriate.
Yeah.
If you're going to a funeral, you're thinking, God, you wear black. You
wear nice shoes.
And you wear decent shoes. You don't wear flip-flops. You know what's good about the two-shot, actually? If we can see the two-shot. What do you guys see under the desk? Ah, look who's back. Anyway,
the dogs.
Yeah, the dogs are here.
My Adidas.
Anyway, over 600 people watching the show, of course. Phil Kaplan, big guest. So anyway, like sneakers at a funeral, a dash in your domain name makes you look odd. It makes you almost look like a scam. So now you got SEO as a part of what you're doing and a dash. That's 2 strikes. And then if you look at the branding of the site, you don't mind, Pete, if we lay into you a little bit, right? This is why you're calling in.
Of course.
Okay. So I'm looking at your website right now. I brought it up on the screen. You got a dash in your domain. You got a sort of an offering which feels like it could be SEO spammy. And the website is not terrible, but it doesn't scream trustworthy or anything like that. So I think the good news is there's a big opportunity here to clean this up. Maybe your best self. I think that's a Oprah thing, right? Living your best life. Maybe your best self, or maybe best foot forward kind of a thing. You could think about the metaphors around what you're trying to do and come up with a name that's more brandable. and a website and an offer and a way of making it look that is less spammy and that explains the value proposition a little bit better.
And typically, when you have a company name, and this is just historically on the internet, when you have a company name that's too descriptive about what you do, you don't stand out. So
That's right.
Evan Williams wrote a blog post in 2005 that I still remember,
right,
where he said, how many RSS companies have the word feed in them? Right today, how many Twitter companies have the word twit in them? It's just you can't tell what are the differences between all these companies.
Right.
So maybe a more unique name.
Well, I mean, Hootsuite, which is an interesting product that I've been using.
That you remember.
That you remember. It's like Hoot. Oh, I get it. It's an owl. Oh, and owls, and they tweet, and they're somehow related to birds. I don't know. That's suggestive as opposed to explicit. Right. So you have an explicit brand name with a dash in it. Bad. Yeah. Design, not so great. Product offering, that is needed. So you need to explain it. So I think you did a good job. I think you got your ass kicked, but I think you have the right idea. And that's really what it's about as an entrepreneur. Let me tell you something. If you did perfect execution and had a great domain name and you didn't solve a problem, you're going to fail.
Yeah.
So if you had to switch these things around, you would really want to have that you've solved a really serious problem, and you have a good solution for that, I think, which is making your own domain name. Is that correct, the solution?
Pete's still there?
Pete, you still there?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Well, you'll be happy to know that we are launching a redesign in early February, which you'll have to check out.
Okay, great. And so is the main point here that you're going to help people create their own web presence?
Exactly. Not just the website, but across social media.
So you're going to advise them on how to do this? Is that what you're doing? You're advising them?
It's a process. Part of it is advising with content to show them how to build their profiles. Part of it is pulling into Twitter and LinkedIn's APIs to show where they need to improve their profiles. Part of it is pulling in people that they can be networking with to build their professional network.
Okay.
It's basically automating everything possible in terms of marketing yourself using social media and then creating a process that makes it really easy to understand how to do it yourself.
Do you have real before and after examples? Not just of here's what somebody looked like when you Googled them before and here's what they look like now, but somebody who could maybe say they were turned down for a job or something before and then they got a job after. I think for you and with any SEO type of company, really the proof is in the pudding. Like, can you make it happen or not? You know, can you get me on the front page? Can you get rid of all my crappy stuff? Do you have examples?
Do we have examples of users that have gone through?
Do you have examples of your success, that you've been able to do this successfully?
Check out brianbahuniak.com.
You're going to have to help me with the spelling of that last name.
BRYANBEHUNIAK.com.
brianbahuniak.com.
And if you Google him, and he's got a pretty unique name, so I would imagine there's not many other people with that name. Does this page show up soon? Is that kind of the idea on the first page?
Well, here I got Brian Bahuniak. He's a marketing executive, and he's got his career synopsis, his accomplishments, his resume. So this is a nice little, kind of page. And I just did a search for him, and I see that his public profile on Plaxo, his LinkedIn, names, I don't know what that is. I've never seen that. Facebook, brand yourself, comes up, white pages, and my life. So is the idea here you helped him with Plaxo, LinkedIn, and the other sites?
You can see he's still at the bottom of the page now. He's begun his efforts, and we've got his bringing us up to the first page.
Good. The real challenge would be if you could clean up my profile online.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
impossible.
That would make your servers overheat, I think.
Yeah. Who would be the most difficult person to fix their profile? If
like Tiger Woods or something like that?
Yeah, how about Tiger Woods? You type in Tiger Woods. Can Tiger
Who
Woods?
knows?
I wonder if you type in Tiger Woods top 10. Mm-hmm. Wow. Let's see. Wikipedia, official site, TMZ.
Oh,
yeah, no.
Oh, TMZ. There you go.
Yeah, I don't think you're getting that TMZ out of there. And let's see. Yeah, you get the Vanity
That's an
Fair.
interesting pitch, actually. Take a celebrity who's had some problems, see if you can get your page on the front page, and then you got a real thing. Hey, we're on the front page of Tiger Woods. I mean, hard to do, but, somebody like that.
Yeah.
Elliot Spitzer.
All right, good enough.
Yeah.
And thank you for pitching, and we'll talk to you soon, Pete.
Thanks, Jason.
Okay.
See you, Pete.
Bye. All right. So he's a student. He's got a great idea, or a good idea, I should say. It's not going to be his last idea. That's the good news.
He's a good guy. He's super
And he's a good
driven,
guy.
and his team is really driven.
Well, you can see
which you couldn't get just from the call, but
I got the drive. Obviously, he was listening to This Week in Startups. There's some drive there.
Yeah.
I think both the people, Propadu and Brand Yourself, both did a good job.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think people are getting better at it overall, and I give them credit. And what's going to be really interesting is now we've got superfan Scott Simcoe. Actually is blogging. We hired one of the superfans, so he's blogging for This Week in Startups. You may have seen on this website that there's more blog posts. We're going to try to do maybe 5 blog posts a week.
I saw.
And one of the things we're trying to do is do a blog post about each of the people who do Ask Jason or Shark Tank, and we're going to do follow-ups, 90-day follow-up, 120-day follow-up, etc. So nobody's getting off the hook. You know, if Propadu doesn't change, he's done a big profile of GeekStack, which was one of the early callers on Ask Jason, and you know, nobody's getting off the hook. Don't do Shark Tank if you don't want us to follow up. It's going to be follow-up, and there'll be ramifications if you do not perform, period. Good start to the show. Why did you become an entrepreneur?
I became an entrepreneur because I hated waking up early. I hated having an alarm clock. And my original goal, I was making $45,000 a year as a project manager at a company called Think New Ideas, Adam Curry and Ron Bloom.
Right.
And this was in, I guess, 99 or 2000. I was like 21, 22 years old. And I said, if I can quit this job, make the same, I wasn't looking for money, I wasn't looking to change the world at that time. I just said, if I could make the same amount of money but wake up when I can't hold in my pee any longer, I will be a success.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, there is an interesting benchmarking goal in life.
That was all it was.
I would like to wake up when I have
whenever
to
I feel like it.
a leak.
Right.
Basically.
Yeah.
And what time you like to sleep until 10
Well,
o'clock?
I'm a late night guy, so I might typically go to sleep at 4 a.m., 5 a.m., and I might want to sleep till 10,
right,
or 11 even.
And
sometimes.
so you, when you had your first jobs, I'm guessing here, got your chops busted by bosses because you rolled in at 10:30.
It wasn't that I got my chops busted. It's that I was always kind of nervous, and it felt less comfortable, and it didn't feel that comfortable to me, and I felt like I would get more work done if I had a little more freedom, and I really just wanted to, I didn't want to hit that snooze button in the morning. I just wanted to not even set an alarm.
So it's basically sleep.
Yeah, that was what got me into it. Right.
And so you have the idea for F Company when and how?
So
that was the first business.
No, well, actually, the first business was a company called, when I was working at Think New Ideas it was a web shop, essentially.
Sure.
When I really wanted to just leave so I could get rid of my alarm clock, I was a programmer and decided to just do freelance programming. So I left the job that I had, I guess I was 22, started freelancing. There was a lot of business, and within 6 months, I had 5 full-time employees, and we were just making websites for Toyota, Mead Paper, a bunch of companies. It was called PK Interactive.
I remember that.
Yeah, and
so basically, you leave Think New Ideas and start a competitor.
Exactly. And our pitch was, you could pay these other firms $2 million to do the work, or you can pay us, $300 or 300 grand or whatever, probably, and to do the same work. I mean, you'll have the exact same team working on your stuff. So that was the first business. We were doing a lot of, this was during the dot-com boom, I guess around 99, 2000, and we had a lot of, real customers like Toyota, and I mentioned the paper company, a bunch of stuff like that, but we also had a lot of startups coming to us, frankly, with founders who I didn't, I thought were sort of in it for the wrong reasons. I didn't think that they had like a grand vision of what they could do. I just thought
these were the Johnny-come-latelys.
Yeah, get-rich-quick kind of guys, and they'd say, hey, we have $1 million in funding, and we want to do this thing.
Frankly, these were the guys in 99, 2000 who screwed it up.
Yeah. So we would do work for those guys, but of course we would have them pay us up front. But then after seeing client after client like that, I started to say, and a lot of people around me started to say, this can't last. This is crazy.
It's unsustainable.
Yeah. So in April of, I guess 2000-ish, right around like the peak of the NASDAQ or whatever, during right before it crumbled, I launched this site called ftcompany.com, and it was now what you would call a blog. But back then, the idea that you'd have like one guy writing a news site was unusual. And I really just did it as a joke because, and the idea of F Company was it was a blog of all the, it was a listing of all the companies that were having problems, all the dot-coms that were going out of business. But more importantly, it was a game, and it was I called it the dot-com Deadpool. And you could essentially bet on which companies you thought would go out of business, and then there was a leaderboard, and there were points, and it became like an office game sort of thing. It grew really fast. I just put it out there as a joke. I put a lot of stuff out there. Within a year, I had about 4 million uniques a month.
Which was incredible.
Which was incredible.
Especially at that time.
At that time, yeah.
It probably put you in the top 200 sites.
For sure, yeah. The Alexa rank was like 200 or 300 or something like that.
Pretty incredible.
Yeah, so that was the beginning of FC.
And you charge people $100 a month or $75 a month to be a member.
It was
to see the raw feed of emails coming into you.
Right. So the idea
was a brilliant idea.
You could do a search, and you might search for your own company. Let's say you did a search for Mahalo. Not that anything would show up.
No.
But you would do a search for Mahalo.
You did a search for Razorfish.
Yeah, Razorfish, right.
And thousands of employees. It's a friend of ours.
A friend of ours, good friend of ours.
Thousands of employees
and a
being
mentor
laid
of
off.
mine. But yes, so it would say, okay, you do a search for Razorfish. It would say, okay, Pud, as my nom de web, especially back then, wrote 2 things about Razorfish. But in the database, there's 200 or 300 things that people have sent in that I never made public. So all the people would give me scoops and stuff, and I essentially made that. I opened that up so people could subscribe. I made it the story is that I made it $75 a month because I wanted to price it a little higher than what like an ordinary person would charge. The idea being that this is for businesses. I'm not trying to make money off of the people who are being laid off and so. This is for your boss. This is for companies who can afford it. Now that it's many years later, the actual reason I made it $75 a month was right when I turned that on. I was trying to figure out pricing. At the same time, I had this stack of bills on my desk, and I opened up my cable bill, my Time Warner cable bill. I was in New York, and it was $75.
So you said I could pay my cable bill.
I said if I have one subscriber,
one dumbass,
it's like free cable, and free cable sounds pretty amazing.
Free cable's pretty amazing. Yes.
So I opened it up quickly.
Free premium cable. Actually, that's not
premium,
basic cable. We're talking HBO.
Yeah. I don't think it included internet at that time, but it definitely had HBO and Showtime.
Yeah, it's premium cable.
And so.
So how many people subscribed the first month?
At the first month, about 1,200 people, which I think was 90 grand a month.
So you're making. So now you're like, when that starts happening, what comes to your mind?
Well, I'm still doing PK Interactive at the same time.
And you're making $1 million from doing nothing.
Well, PK Interactive is creating websites for people. Yeah. FC is just sort of like
$1 million a year for nothing.
Yeah, that was really fun. That was really cool. I didn't know. My bookkeeper would come in every month, and she'd be like, "What is this thing? Like, I don't know what's going on." I didn't know what was going on. It was very exciting.
Very inspirational story because it's serendipity. You started the site as a goof.
Yeah,
and it makes $1 million immediately.
Yeah.
Then you write a book.
Yep.
And you're on the cover of magazines, and you come to symbolize, in some ways, like a Robin Hood, a crusader against the evil .com people, which wasn't exactly what you intended, was it?
I think that the voice of the site, because I was a programmer, the voice of the site was like, here's some dude who's just like so you're always hearing from the look at this show. Like, you're always hearing from the CEOs and the entrepreneurs and all these people. Here was a programmer who suddenly could have a voice because of the internet. And so I think the site really reflected that I was just like a guy, and I was sort of standing up for the people, which I was. And the goal of everything on that site was really, to stand up for, like, hey, this company said there was nothing wrong, and they just laid off 500 people, and to give them a voice. And most of the stories were about companies like laying off their employees or screwing their employees or that sort of thing.
So then you move on to do AdBright.
Yeah.
And you raise money from Sequoia.
Yeah.
And so this, in my mind, I remember when you did it, I was so impressed, and I said, you are going from doing F company, sort of being like, I wouldn't say the class clown, but certainly the court jester.
Your dog is eating my mic cable or stepping on it or something.
Yeah, hey guys, don't eat the cables. And you go from the court jester to being anointed by Sequoia, and they back AdBright. How did that happen?
Well, so AdBright started as, I think all my businesses started as side projects for a previous business.
Correct.
Yeah, PK Interactive was a side business for where I was working. FC was a side project of PK Interactive. AdBright was a side project of FC. So on F Company, the quick version of how AdBright came to be was people would email me all the time saying, "Hey, how do I buy an ad on your site?" Yeah. And there was just no automated way to deal with it at the time. There was no Google AdSense. There was nothing else really going on. So I built a simple automated system. Myself and Guidon Wise and Menachem Dickman, our founders, built a simple system where people could just click a button, say I want to buy an ad, and then upload their ad and put in their credit card number, and there we'd have, we could do a, the ad would automatically appear on FC, and their credit card would be charged, and they'd give them all the stats.
So you made an automated ad
system.
Right,
so it was an automated ad server for FC. It was working really well. A lot of people started saying, hey, how do we get this on our site?
Right.
So we opened it up and let anybody sign up. Within a very short amount of time, I think when I started talking to Sequoia, there were probably 1,000 sites using AdBright.
And when, is this like 2003, 2004?
This was 2002. No, 2002, 2003.
Right.
Yeah. So then I started in 2003, 2004. 2002, 2003. In 2004 is when we had like a lot of users. That's when we started talking to Sequoia. A friend of mine said, hey, you should talk to Sequoia. I pitched them like a little while ago. Unsuccessfully, but I think your idea is better. You should talk to them. Interesting thing about the Sequoia pitch. So you're saying like how I was doing the sort of funny F company thing and then like anointed by Sequoia. I remember going into Sequoia and they were great guys, and I think they're more interested in like, does the business look interesting? And I thought the business looked good, and I thought they really liked me. At one point, I just remember saying, they were like, why are you, like, what do you need the money for? And by the way, my pitch to them, and this is, for any entrepreneur who's listening, my pitch was, especially if you have like a profitable business already, I was like, we don't need the money. We're already profitable. It's probably had a run rate of $1 million a year, and like, if you think that this is potentially a big business that you could help me make it really big, tell me. Otherwise, like, I'm perfectly happy with this company that I already have.
Right.
So it's kind of like you convinced me. So they were really into it.
So you flipped it on them.
A little bit.
A little topsy-turvy.
And so I remember making a joke in the pitch. There's like, however many people work there,
15.
15 partners are sitting around the table. I'm real nervous. I'm pitching.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, and they said, well, what are you going to use the money for, which is a common question. And I said, well, we maybe hire a few salespeople and do some business development, but I mean, it's not like we're going to, just like blow it all on like crazy stuff like Webvan or something. And then I see like a few of the partners, suddenly like their face changes and they're very serious. And I'm, oh, right, they invested in Webvan.
Heartbreaking.
Webvan was famous because they raised $1 billion and went through it all. They IPO'd and everything before they even had
so
a
you
business.
basically said, we're not going to do anything stupid.
Like what you did.
Like what you did. Right. So basically, this great opportunity, you're about to blow, but in some way built credibility because they probably thought, this guy's gangster.
I also brought a copy of my book, and I think I signed it and gave it to a few of them.
Oh, very cool.
So that worked out.
Well, they kind of like rebels over there.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, they had the same thing with me because I had written, YouTube was a scam, and my God, this is all breaking all these copyright laws, and this thing should be shut down. And
I think it says something about not to suck up to Sequoia, but it definitely says something. But the truth is, I didn't actually. I had people. Even though FC like really stood up for the people, even the entrepreneurs, and like we know a lot of them who were targeted in the site, all think it's funny, and they're like, yeah, I was in FC. It's kind of like being on TechCrunch today. It's like, well, it kind of happened, so, not so bad.
There's been rumors AdBright being bought for $200-300 million. Is this business worth in that range, do you think, or more?
I do.
You do?
Yeah. AdBright's going really well.
I mean, is it publicly disclosed how much revenue and employees it has? 100 employees now?
What's publicly disclosed,
30, 40, 50 million in revenue?
I think the last public disclosure was last year. AdBright was on the Inc. 500 list of fastest growing companies in America, and it was number 34 on the list. And I think it had the revenue went from like roughly 1 million to I think 32 million. What was in the audited financials that were in the magazine. Wow!
So you basically built a business that's probably worth $200 or $300 million.
We'll see.
And this is a pretty colossal thing. I mean, how does it feel to go from being the class clown, the kid who was just a programmer, to all of a sudden having built all this value and worked with the best venture capital firm in the world? I mean, is it in some ways a vindication for you, or?
I was literally the class clown in class.
Oh, you were, in addition?
Oh, yeah. I meet people who were like, oh, I remember you from second grade. This happened to me. Somebody said, oh, I remember you from second grade, and I didn't really remember them. They said, I remember you because you were the kid who used to run around on top of all desks. I was like, I used to run around on the desks? They're like, yeah, you had a scarf on your head. I don't know. So I still kind of feel like the class clown a little bit. So it's not like I feel like the class clown who's like, built these companies. I kind of still feel, I'm just having fun.
And quite successfully. So that leads us to Blippy. I thought this was a brilliant idea when I saw it. This is Facebook plus commerce. You've verified that I've bought things, and now there's discussions going on around them. I mean, there's a million ways to explain the business, but how do you explain it when somebody says, you know, when your mom says, or you know, a cousin or something says, what is Blippy?
Blippy makes it easy to automatically share the things that you're buying. So
perfect.
Yeah. Or I'll go one step further. If somebody still doesn't exactly understand, what I do is I usually show them one of my credit cards, which I shouldn't show like on the screen because you know everyone will have the number. I'll cover the number.
And I have the same. You have
it's
the
best
Starwood.
card. The Starwood's the best card.
Unbelievable.
Starwood's
Look
the
at
best
this.
card.
Starwood, and you get the rooms. You get upgraded all the time.
And the points transfer to American Airlines 1-for-1.
Unbelievable. I have the same. Look at this.
Same card.
Same card.
Same card.
Wonder Twin Powers. Activate. Boom. Right. Free rooms everywhere around the world.
So. Another way to describe Blippy is anything I put on this card gets published out to my friends and to the public. Anything I buy.
Wow. And I have an account now. Yeah. Here it is. I'm pulling up on the screen. It basically looks like a social network like Facebook. Here you can see that I am a gold member of Audible. It means I get 2 credits a month. Audible, one of my favorite I put it in my top 12 services that I use and love. And what happens is, all of a sudden, you see Drew Curtis like this. Drew Curtis, of course, is from FARC, and a bunch of people commenting on it. And then here on iTunes, I download this Trees Near You. And then here I bought this LED thing, which is an LED light fixture from Amazon that is solar powered. And I got all these people talking about solar power. And then Hootsuite on iTunes. Some other iTunes things I have hooked up to it. Another Amazon purchase I bought. This is actually the one where I got the most feedback. I bought the Canon 7D, which is an incredible 18-megapixel camera. It costs $1,700, not cheap, but everybody goes crazy. And I got Leo Laporte and all kinds of other people, Rob Brown, discussing the virtues of this product. And it is unbelievable as a tool to actually understand what you're buying. It's like a pivot point around purchases.
Yeah, the idea of Blippy is to not really tell people like what to do with the data. So there's a lot of different ways that people use Blippy. So there's finding out like what camera you're buying. I say, oh, I didn't know about that camera. That looks like an interesting camera. I might get it. Seeing what restaurant you're going to. We know of a nonprofit who's publishing all their transactions so they can add more transparency to their business.
Oh, that's an interesting one.
We know businesses that are using. Now imagine if you had everyone at Mahalo put their corporate, or everyone who has a corporate card, put their corporate card into a feed that's private that only you can see. You can just go to one place and you can just see what everybody's putting on their card. You can discuss it and say, what was this? How was this?
Oh, that's a very interesting one.
So we're seeing a lot of different uses. And the idea was to just sort of like put it out there, see not only how people are using it and what benefit they're really getting from it, but what they want to get from it. So we just launched about a week ago publicly. So it's been fascinating to see how people are using it.
What's the biggest thing anybody's ever purchased on it?
The biggest thing is a industrial freezer for a restaurant that somebody put on there that costs over $15,000.
Interesting.
What's more interesting is the smallest purchase.
This is like a contest that's been going on, right?
Yeah,
I saw this. People were like, somebody bought a cup of coffee or something for like $1.10.
Oh, it gets worse. So there's all these people on the site who are competing for who can have the smallest purchase, meaning who can go into. I mean, it takes a lot of guts to go into a store, use your credit card
for 79 cents
for a 3-cent Tootsie Roll.
And somebody really did that.
Somebody did that. It's on the site. It's 3 cents at a liquor store. And of course, all the comments blew up, and everybody said, that takes a lot of guts. How do you do that?
What was the previous record?
The previous record before that, I think, was like maybe $1 at Target.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, I could see $1 working.
Yeah, $1. 3 cents was fascinating. Amazing. But it's beatable.
3 cents is beatable.
Yeah, 2 cents, 1 cent. We'd
Absolutely.
like to see that.
Fantastic. And so how do the merchants feel about this? Because I had asked you guys to put on Audible because I'm a huge fan of Audible. You guys put on Audible. I give you my credentials. You log into Audible, scrape the data. I've been using Amazon. I got a Zappos account. I find as a user now, this is how powerful this is, the idea of sharing around a purchase. That there are things I could buy at other places that I'm now buying on Amazon or Zappos. Like I wanted to buy some jeans. I'm buying my jeans on Zappos now because I want to share them with my community.
Yeah.
It's actually driving my purchase behavior. which merchants are on there.
Well, let me explain real quick. We talked about how you can share credit cards.
Right.
We didn't really talk about merchants. So whether or not you're sharing credit card purchases on Blippy, another thing that we do is you can, for example, give us your iTunes credentials and your iTunes username and password, and anything that you buy from iTunes will not only show that you spent $10 at iTunes, but will show which album you just downloaded or what movie you downloaded, the line item details. So if you buy shoes on Zappos, it'll link out to those shoes. If you buy a shirt on Threadless, we'll show which shirt you bought. Woot.com, we did a really cool integration with Woot. We do an OAuth integration where we don't need your username and password. We've integrated with a bunch of sites like this.
Right.
So in general, the retailers are thrilled because, like what you said, I mean, I'll just give you one example. I love Apple products. I'm a recent convert to Mac as of less than a year ago. And I needed a speaker dock for my iPhone. I went into the Apple store to figure out which iPhone dock I wanted, picked out the one I wanted, and then bought it from Amazon right there in the store.
Wow.
And the reason I bought it from Amazon is because with Amazon purchases, the actual line item, it will show not just that I spent $80, but I spent $80 and I bought this speaker set. And then there were, probably 12 comments from people saying, oh, I love that speaker set, or, that one's not as good as this one, or, that kind of thing. So I think in general, the retailers should be thrilled, and typically are.
Hey, can we take the dogs out now? Because I think Fondue, at this point, is going to destroy something if we don't let her out. Hey, Fondue. Who's outside? Where's the mouse? Oh, yes. There you go. And I noticed I can't log into Amazon right now. How does Amazon feel about this? I noticed is Amazon on pause right now?
Yeah, the Amazon integration is paused. They contacted us.
That doesn't sound good.
Well, it is potentially good.
Okay.
They contacted us and wanted to do something more similar to the integration we have with Woot, which is where we're not asking for username and password, and we just have like a specific API that's just for us. And we're working on interfaces with a lot of merchants to just sort of make it easier for the user to connect those accounts to Blippy. In the case of Amazon, they contacted us. I'm going out to Seattle in a couple days to meet with them, and the idea. They think that from what I'm told, they think that the idea is great. In fact, they've been talking about doing something like that internally for a while. You could imagine on Amazon, social site, just showing.
I would think that this is something Amazon, when they see it, go, my God, why don't we have this?
Well, great, because they show testimonials, they show suggested products. Like, why don't they just show like what your friends are buying? It's interesting. So they like the idea. They have questions about how we're getting the data. So we're meeting with them to figure out like a better way to do it.
See, this is interesting because I know Jeff Bezos, one of my favorite entrepreneurs. I've said it many times on this program. Pound for pound, I think he's the best entrepreneur.
He's amazing.
Best CEO right now on the planet.
He's amazing.
Yeah. Who are your top 3 CEOs right now? Who you look to and say, that's the guy I want to be, or that's the guy I respect most, or the gal?
What comes to mind is probably my dad.
Aww.
I know that sounds corny, but if I'm having either something really great happens or something really tricky happens, I call him, and like the guys at Blippy know, I'm constantly quoting him. So he has
That's really annoying.
My dad is just, I know, it's super annoying, and it's embarrassing, and I want to just take credit, for the quotes
you
myself.
You could just say like a wise man once said.
I know, but like
take credit for it.
Like one
Why
example
not?
is with like if you're in a situation where you're like, well, what like the Amazon situation,
Yeah.
Well, what happens if it turns out it's going to take a year for them to like build an API for us or whatever, and I just channel my dad, and he would say, well, don't worry about it twice, like. Worry about it if that's what comes out of this meeting, with Amazon or with somebody else. Like, don't worry about it now and worry about it then.
Right.
And there's a million other quotes that he says, and he's just.
Don't worry about it.
I kind of channel him when I'm doing
good.
this.
After him, in the industry, people, who do you say like, man, that guy's pretty bright?
Tony Hsieh.
Tony Hsieh from Zappos.
A lot of people go to Tony Hsieh from Zappos. I can't.
Interestingly, he's now in some ways like the Bezos heir apparent. I have speculated on this program that Bezos bought Zappos for Tony, and that Tony will be running Amazon in 5 years. Because I think Bezos is going to get tired of this at some point and want to do the rockets and, whatever, raise his family. Who knows? Maybe when he's 60, maybe when he's 65. But who would be better to run Amazon in the same vision as Jeff Bezos than Tony? There's nobody better.
Yeah, and what Tony's done, a lot of people know about the culture at Zappos.
Right.
That's incredibly hard to pull off. Especially when you meet Tony, and he doesn't strike you as like a super outgoing like party guy.
No, he's not like us.
But it's so fun, to work there in theory, and they just made a list of the best places to work. And then after Tony, it would probably be a tie between probably Richard Branson and Hugh Hefner.
Really?
Yeah, and the thing I like about those guys is they are really good at using their own brand to promote their product. So there's a Richard Branson story, which is when British Air, when Virgin Air first came out, they were competing with British Air, and British Airways has a huge marketing budget and all this stuff. Yeah. And Richard Branson and Virgin said, well, how are we going to compete with this? So he did all those sort of like crazy billionaire things, like I'll fly a hot air balloon around the world, and I'll drive a tank through Times Square, and I'll just do all this crazy stuff. And that worked. That worked really well and helped build their brand.
Yeah, I like him too.
Yeah.
And
Hugh Hefner kind of with the whole like idea of it's with just building sort of a personality around the brand.
Right.
Works really well. I think.
I agree. I think that you'll work it out with them. And Jeff Bezos is a reasonable guy who is very much into open source and free information. So I can't think that a Bezos-led Amazon would have any problem.
No, both of us want to do it
because when you look
where there's a will, there's a way.
It's my data.
Yeah.
It's my relationship, and I can tell you clearly, if Amazon were to not allow me to use Blippy, I would use other services to buy my products. As much as I love Amazon, I would buy my products somewhere else that was Blippy supported because I want that social network there.
Yeah.
And I would feel very wronged if they didn't allow me to do it. I think there's a lot of people who are industry leaders who would feel the same.
I think so.
Let's bring in Lon, and let's do the news. Lon is here. Hey, Lon, happy Friday. Lon is here, and it's Friday. Lon's looking forward to coming in Saturday and working on more Mahalo things.
Every week.
He'll be here Sunday for Code Jam. Lon is here with the news. You've seen the program before, Phil, so
you a fan?
You know
Oh, yeah.
Big fan of Lon, I tell you.
Huge fan of Lon.
Lon's looking good. Lon's looking good.
A little more dapper.
A little dapper.
I cleaned it up.
I like the shirt. Jacket we're going to work on, Tyler.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
the jacket we need.
some ideas.
Jacket. Well, you have some ideas for the jacket?
I like the jacket.
It's okay.
Sharp jacket.
Thank you.
We're always criticizing Lon's
Finally a
look.
defender in here.
Yeah. So let's get right into it. What is the first story in the news?
The Dig overhaul. Let's talk about that. Kevin Rose stated publicly discussing an upcoming overhaul of the Dig website. He says, quote, "We're making some drastic changes. People are going to be shocked at some of the directions we're taking." Among the hints, Rose acknowledged the placement of the Dig button and the navigation bar is going to change. Basic design stuff is going to change. Going to be an increased focus on images. The new version of the site will also have a more real-time kind of flavor. Going to be more recommendations for content. So, any more predictions about where Dig might be going or what the next step is for them?
I actually have inside information.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I would just like to say, there's somebody from Read Write Web who now is watching the show and writing stories about what is announced on the show, because this is a good place to get inside information. Like, nobody knows about the fact that Amazon has been turned off on Blippy. This is a major story, and that it's going to break. Whoever is the journalist watching this.
Did you just break that?
Well, I mean, it's a breaking news thing.
Well, you just noticed it on the site.
Well, I noticed it on the site that it's been paused, and now you just said on the program that you're going to have a sit with Amazon. This is big news. It's big news in the sense of freedom of information and your data. I mean, I'm sure they'll work it out, but if they didn't, this would be like the equivalent of World War III. Anyway, just kidding. It's not World War III. I had sushi with Kevin, who, as you know, is an angel investor now.
Yes.
And so we're both exploring angel investments together. We have done one together, Gowalla. And our premise, both as angel investors, is that we will bring users and product suggestions with us as power users. And so you see that with Gowalla, the two of us tag teaming to help, make the product better and get people to use the product. And so during our conversation, Kevin and I talked about the future of Dig. I don't want to say anything and steal their thunder. However, what I will say is that the voting as a proxy for importance will be only one of multiple proxies for how important a story is. Voting is an explicit way of saying this is important.
Right.
Dig will now also contain implicit data. So if you were to tweet something, maybe that would count as a vote, perhaps.
Right.
Or if something was on the Facebook wall, maybe that would count if that URL was there. So instead of something having to be added to Dig, perhaps if it was shown 10 times on Facebook or Twitter, maybe it would automatically be put into Twitter, into Dig without it having to be submitted.
Right.
So if you think about Dig represented people explicitly saying these things are important, but something has changed since Twitter turned the social networks inside out and searchable, which is with their API and everything, you know what's popular. So if you look at Dig today, you're looking at what has already occurred on Twitter in a lot of cases. The top stories on Dig are a reflection of what the top stories on Twitter were 15 minutes ago. Just that 15-minute is incredibly damaging to Dig's future. So they have to take that into account. And that's what you'll see, I think, is them taking more things than the explicit into account. I think it's going to take Dig from, it's 20 million uniques or 30 million uniques where it's sort of stuck at. They've been flat for 6 months or so. What's happened is they've reached their natural audience. And I think it could take them to another level.
Right.
It could help them break out. And so kudos to him for making a radical change in year 6 of Dig? Started in 2004?
Sounds right.
Like that, yeah.
5? So this is year 5 of Dig. So, I mean, to make a radical change in year 5 or 6 is pretty bold, and I think it's going to be very successful. Your thoughts, Phil?
The big question I have is, will it make, as a reader of Dig, like 15 minutes doesn't really make a big difference to me. I just want to read funny stories, and I read Dig almost every day. Will it surface better stories? I don't know. I mean, as a user, I don't really care that much about the technology. I just kind of want to read some funny, interesting things.
Right.
So,
and do I need to read them 15 minutes earlier? Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know.
But might help, might make it more interesting.
It could.
Yeah, and will be really interesting.
Will the stories be better? And will I notice? Will the stories be 10% better, 100% better?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, being first can be significant. I mean, if you go to Dig and your experience is always, I just read about this on Twitter.
Yeah.
After the third or fourth time, you might stop going to Dig.
I don't know if that. I'm a pretty heavy Twitter power user. I would say I read it a lot, and I haven't had that experience where
on Dig.
Yeah, where I see the front page of Dig and I've already read all that stuff.
But people are saying now, I think.
But maybe it will get there.
Yeah.
Just a programming note. Following this program, immediately following it, after a 5-10 minute break, will be This Week in Android, a new show. And somebody who tweets, tune in to twiandroid.com, twiandroid.com, will win this phone during the This Week in Android program. It is episode 1 with Mark Jeffrey. Not necessarily going to be perfect. They're going to just figure it out as they go, but it's they put the old flag on the ground. Next story.
Your dog just let himself back.
TWIA not available as a hashtag?
TWIA.com not available. Okay. Oh, no, you can use it as a hashtag. I'm telling you the domain name.
Oh, the domain.
TWI Android. And you know what? You're not going to have to change Ustream channels. We're going to use this Ustream channel. Yes. If you're on this Ustream channel, the 672 of you will go right in after a 5-minute break. Can we play maybe a previous Ask Jason or something in the interim? We can pull that up on YouTube or something. Or we could play the fight scenes from Gladiator, perhaps. That might be funny.
So you really like his lead-in?
Yeah, but I'm the lead-in for This Week in Android.
Right.
And then, I don't want to jump the gun, but next Friday, after This Week in Android, will be another new program. But I'm not going to say what that is.
I think I know.
Next story.
It's a bad year for VC deals, or it was. According to Dow Jones Venture Source, 2009 was overall a bad year for VC deals. Nevertheless, it ended with a solid fourth quarter. In Q4 2009, investors put $6.3 billion into 743 individual deals, up from $6.1 billion during the same quarter the year before, 2008. Also interesting last year, the healthcare industry received more VC dollars than the IT industry, and that was the first time that has ever occurred on record. So what's behind that trend, and what do you think we can look ahead for in 2010? 2010
is going to be a banner year. A lot of money is going to get put to work. People were very nervous in the first half of 2009, so people were not investing. In the third and fourth quarter, I can tell that something has changed. People are feeling more aggressive, and they're feeling good about the economy. I know because when that happens, I get associates. Associates are like the most junior level people at a venture firm. and they start emailing me to introduce their firm. And I get these 2 or 3 times a week because they want to invest in Mahalo or whatever, or they possibly want to invest. So those have been ratcheting up for me. You get those too, right?
Yeah.
So when you see those associate emails coming in, that means they're saying to those associates, get me deals in this vertical. So they might be saying, get me deals in human-powered search or in the content space or whatever. So that's what's happening right now. In terms of the change between healthcare and IT, healthcare costs a lot of money to get into. There's biotech, basically.
Yeah.
Massive amounts of research. What's happening is the amount of money it takes to run a startup is going down in the technology industry, in the IT industry. Servers are cheap. Bandwidth is cheap. Salaries are the same or a little bit higher. But the cost of doing business and creating stuff because of open source and commodity hardware and the development packages that exist, you can do much more with less. The cost of starting an internet company used to be, in the original phase, $5 million. And that was $1 million in servers, $1 million in an Oracle license. And you basically were out $2 or $3 million from the get-go, and not anymore. Phil, your thoughts?
Well, first, I kind of feel like, does it seem like every year somebody says that, like the news is that VC is dead? And
yes.
Like every single year. And then every single year somebody says, yes, but next year's going to be a big year. That said, it does seem, just as like guy on the internet, not necessarily as entrepreneur or anything, things are getting really interesting, especially in Silicon Valley amongst early adopters, which is where a lot of this stuff starts.
Yeah.
Obviously, Twitter, the GoWalla, Foursquare, Google Latitude and Looped and all these things, and Blippy and Groupon and
a lot of innovation.
Yeah, there's just a lot of stuff that's happening right now that's pretty exciting.
Revenue.
With revenue.
Yeah. With revenue and users.
Yep.
So
it does seem like things are heating up, and we're sort of turning a corner with regard to consumer internet.
There is so much money available in the world that it is a unique time that we live in. In some ways, it's like a Star Trek episode when they live in the land of plenty, except it's not evenly distributed.
Right.
And so that's the problem. There's a ton of rich people and polarization of wealth. They don't know what to do with their money, so they put it into these big vehicles. Venture capital is one of the vehicles. Then you have these big endowments. Harvard. Harvard has so much money they'll never spend it. It's actually kind of unconscionable that Harvard has this huge endowment and they just spend it on making better and better businesses for the Harvard Business School. Like, they really should be giving that money to maybe as a society. Perhaps those endowments could maybe make better public schools or something that are more available to people. But that's a whole different thing that we would discuss on a different program.
This Week in Harvard.
No, maybe soon. This week. That would be like the Jason Nation show where we could just like channel like whatever. But just getting to that money is the problem. There are not enough entrepreneurs who I would say are either world class or think big. That's the problem. And so it's hard to put the money to work. So the VCs have so much money. They have $1 billion funds, $600 million funds. So they want to give $50 million, $20 million to somebody. But that means that person's got to get them 10x. If you take $50 million to get 10, 20x, you got to have an exit for $500 million, $1 billion. Can you think of a business right now that has a $500 million or $1 billion exit? That's a difficult thing to do. Can Blippy become a $1 billion business in your mind?
Absolutely.
Okay. And
or I wouldn't be doing it.
Right. That's why he can raise the money.
Right.
And the problem when you hear about Shark Tank is that you have people coming on the show saying, I want to do Propadu, or I want to do Brand Yourself. Those guys are never going to get money, or they'll have a hard time getting money. And the reason is because their idea is a $10 million idea or $20 million idea.
It's a business. Idea. It's like a pizza shop. It's a business.
It's a business, but that's the problem. The money is locked up here.
Well, so what do you do if you have a great idea for just like an online business, but you don't have the capital?
You put it on your credit cards. You get friends and family money. You don't qualify for venture capital, and that's what's happened. Is the venture capitalists have raised so much money that they're in the stratosphere now. They have to put more money to work in bigger chunks.
Right.
And so that's why you see this angel network and smaller funds, Y Combinator. So people can do those smaller businesses.
Right, the little incubators.
The little incubators that are trying to do $10, $20 million businesses that maybe if they become something, they become that $10 million business, then the founders can say, now we know how to make it into a $100 million business. Bump was that iPhone application that came out of Y Combinator.
I love Bump.
Yeah, I love Bump too. And so, I don't know if... I know who the investor is, but I don't know if I'm supposed to say it. Anyway.
Doe.
Bump got money... They got 15,000 from, they got 50 million. They got 15,000 for the Y Combinator or something like that.
Yeah.
And then they got money from a venture capital firm. I don't know if it's been announced or not. They must have something that makes them a bigger business now. So anyway, it's a very interesting moment in time right now. So much money, nobody knows where to put it, and then so many people in the world suffering who don't have access to it. The amount of resources on the planet is disproportionate to the need, but it can't be dispersed, and it's not evenly divided. So you have people in Haiti with nothing, and then you have people in the United States with 3 homes. It doesn't make any sense.
Agreed.
I'm going on a rant.
It's good, though. Starting to sound a little socialist, almost.
No, I'm not a socialist. I'll tell you what's the problem. The problem is entrepreneurship has not reached those places.
Right.
And that's why I think Kiva is a beautiful thing. And I think this, inspiring people to be entrepreneurs in other parts of the world, which I don't have any involvement in, but I wish I did. And I wish that maybe Open Angel Forum can do this in some way when we launch it in other countries. But I would love to have an Open Angel Forum in Haiti.
Port-au-Prince.
Yeah. If somebody out there is involved in Port-au-Prince, like I can't help Haiti. I can give a little money or whatever, but I don't know how to.
Wycliffe, let's get Wycliffe on.
I know,
the show.
but if I could, if they said to me, here are 10 angel investors in Port-au-Prince who are making money from whatever they're doing. We want to have an Open Angel Forum there, and we want to train people to be entrepreneurs and maybe get some other businesses going out there. That would be the most wonderful thing for me, because I would love to see them become entrepreneurs. This is what I told people in Greece when I went to Greece, my homeland, and they were trying to do entrepreneurship there. Like they need an infrastructure of angel investors and culture.
I've been waiting for that for a long time to see whether an F company or a Mahalo or an AdBright or even a Google just like come out of like Nigeria or Haiti or like somewhere. I mean, it could totally happen.
Sure.
I mean, if you have internet access, and obviously it takes a little money to like get a server, but like it's so cheap that it could totally happen, and it will be so awesome when it happens.
Yes.
It'll just be an amazing story.
Imagine if like all of a sudden there were 30,000 employees in Haiti of Google, or just even
whatever
1,000.
the next Google is or whatever.
Or just if eBay came out, there's 1,000 people, or if Full Tilt or something, and that's why entrepreneurship is the solution. People want to, you have Obama right now who's sort of anti-entrepreneurship in some ways, and limiting it and wants to throttle it. We don't need to throttle it. We need to disperse it, and that's the problem. We have to go to the places where it doesn't exist and inspire it. And once you get it inspired in those places, they'll solve their own problems because they will have opportunity. But they don't have opportunity. Right? They don't have the tools. They don't understand it. It's not taught in school. I grew up so middle class. I never got taught entrepreneurship. It puts you at a huge disadvantage. You grew up with a dad who's an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
That's such a huge advantage.
Yeah.
If your dad's an entrepreneur or your mom's an entrepreneur, you have it in your DNA. If they're not, it's hard.
In schools, they really teach kids how to be employees.
They do.
They teach you how to write a resume.
Right.
They teach you how to do a job interview.
How to stand in line.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically what it comes down to.
There's not a lot of. It's sort of like media literacy too. They teach you how to write an essay, but they don't teach you how to read a newspaper. There's a lot of missing that sort of practical aspect.
Next story.
YouTube movie rentals. YouTube is looking to drink Netflix and iTunes milkshake, as it were. The massively popular streaming video site made its debut as a rental outlet today. It's promoting some past movies from the Sundance Film Festival, which is, of course, going on right now in Park City, Utah. 5 movies currently available for rent on the YouTube front page for $3.99 a pop, including, I know Tyler's a fan of this one, the well-received dolphin documentary, The Cove. Studios will be able to determine the length of the rental period themselves and set their own prices, and YouTube will receive an undisclosed percentage of the profits as a commission. So you think this is going to edge YouTube closer to profitability, and what can they do to sort of compete against all the other sites that already offer this service?
They don't need to do anything to compete against those services because they already have 60-70% of the market in terms of videos. This is a serious threat to Netflix. I don't know what happened with Netflix stock today. But I can tell you clearly that Google's footprint and Google's search results, if Google, when you search for The Cove, has The Cove come up as #1 in YouTube as opposed to on iTunes, Google wins. This is why Eric Schmidt is no longer on the board of Apple, because Google would like to win the phone. They would also like to win the video and TV space, and Apple is looking to do that as well. This is a very serious threat. It's incredibly well executed, and it's pretty awesome. Yeah. I think it's pretty awesome, and it's great that they're finally getting YouTube to a place where it's sustainable revenue from something other than, lower 1/3 ads.
Right.
It's great.
It's very cleanly integrated with their front page. That's what I noticed is the first bar up there, it naturally fits into the YouTube sort of
Yeah, and you know what?
format.
I have 2 mini Mac Minis. One in my office where I have a flat panel TV in my house, and then one in the living room. And now I'm noticing that I go to my computer on those machines to watch a movie through Netflix through the web browser, not through my DVD player, which has Netflix on demand. I would rather watch it in the browser. And then I'm also going to Hulu and watching it in the browser. I would have no problem. I have the Cove on DVD. It's almost like it's more work to take the DVD out of the box and put it in the player than just go to YouTube and hit the play button. And I would watch 10 commercials during it. This is going to be very significant. This is truly disruptive.
I agree. I think the big... obviously, the big player now is iTunes. All my movies I download from iTunes. The fact is, iTunes is not a website. They're not in Google. They just don't exist.
Right.
Unless you go straight to iTunes. This is probably relevant to the recent rumor that iTunes is, and I may or may not have inside information, working on a web-based version of iTunes.
Well, that's what Lala, right? They bought Lala.
Lala and some other stuff,
No, that's absolutely happening. I mean, you will be able to go there.
And then it's just going to be a battle for, when you do that search for the Cove, like who shows up.
Right, and who owns the search results? Google.
Right. Google.
So Google's now in the content business. They like to say they're not in the content business, but they were going to buy Yelp. That's a content company. And we had a discussion about that 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And now you see it again. So I think the gloves are off. Google take all. Google takes all.
This is kind of the second time they've done something like this. Google Video back in the day, do you guys remember when they had like a pay thing? It never really took off. A little early.
I think it was the content. It was very archivey.
Yeah.
Like you could buy an old Charlie Rose episode or something. But this is more current, contemporary films that are sort of hot right now.
And they have
a new DVD release within the last month or so.
Yeah. And they're going to have more people watch it there than, perhaps on Netflix.
Kudos to Google for keep just throwing it against the wall, seeing if it'll stick.
Honestly, doing the news.
What I don't understand is
there's like
for the Sundance films that do not get picked up this year, and last year only a couple of them did get picked up for distribution.
10% maybe.
If I was YouTube, what I would do is I would be at Sundance, offering $250,000 to every film for the online rights to it to come out
just debut on YouTube.
If I was Google has so much money, this is what I would do. I would hire whoever the top movie buyer is from whatever movie company that's sucking wind or has been shut down, distribution company, and just go there with $10 million and just buy up everything for $250, knowing that it doesn't matter if I would just buy them for $250 and give them away for free.
There's a big story that not a lot of people don't realize. I happen to have been to Sundance. There are a ton of good movies that nobody will ever hear about.
Of course.
Like you'll be like, that was the best movie I ever saw, and then it's gone. It's never in the theaters.
They should go there with a checkbook. It would be a mitzvah for them to do it. They should go there with a checkbook and give $100,000 to the 100 films that don't get picked up. The bottom 100 in the of the 300 that are there. Just give $100,000 to each to be on YouTube and make them free. And 100 great movies that don't get seen would make it could be a revolution in independent film. It would cost Google $10 million. It would be the most amazing goodwill thing they've ever done in the history of Google.
It would be amazing.
It would be amazing.
Well, and it would have the side benefit of training people that, like, hey, you can watch a movie on YouTube.
That's a good call.
And it looks great.
Yeah. So instead of spending $10 million on an ad campaign, here, this is free. Okay, somebody's got to clip this. I need a super fan to clip starting here. How you doing, guys, at Google and YouTube? It's Jason, your friend. Please consider bringing $10 to $20 million to Sundance each year, buying all the independent films that do not get picked up for normal distribution, and making them available for free on YouTube. This will serve 2 purposes. It will train people to go to YouTube to watch films, and 2, you will be supporting independent film, which everybody loves, and you'll be doing a mitzvah for the directors and inspiring people. It'll cost you $10 to $20 million a year, and you've got $30, $40 billion laying around. This is better than making donations to send people to the moon, right? I mean, really, I love the X Prize, but I don't really care if we go to the moon again. I would care if you would get those 100 films that make the Sundance and get more people inspired to make great documentary films, great independent films. Much more important than going to the moon is being inspired by independent film. Google, just do it. Fondue says yes to.
Yeah.
A cut. Somebody will do that.
I'm thinking some people might actually take the YouTube deal, even if they could get a little bit more money from a distribution house. Because think of how many more people would see your film.
Of course, that's all the filmmaker wants.
If you're opening your movies
Give me
in
a
3
break.
theaters,
and you get to own the rights.
As
a filmmaker, you get to maintain the rights to your film.
You're not making documentaries to get rich. You're making it because you want your words to get out.
Just give it to YouTube for the first year. $100,000 for a year.
And then make a special area, and they'll drive traffic to it. Yeah, like YouTube.com/Sundance. It would be
They can do an interview with the director and put it next to it. It'd be amazing.
Lots of fun stuff.
I would watch that all day.
I would
actually leave my job.
I know the
and
guy,
watch that.
Solar. I'll see Solar, who's running YouTube right now. He's employee number 9 or 10 at Google. I know this guy Solar. You know Solar?
I know Solar.
Salar.
I think Salar.
Solar. He's the guy running YouTube now. I'm going to see him at the TED conference when I go to the John Brockman's Edge dinner. I'll bring it up with him. This is a good idea.
It's a good idea.
For free. Good idea from This Week in Startups. Let's do one more story.
Ooh, just one more. Let's do ZocDoc.
Everybody wants to go see This Week in Android.
Yes, of course. Coming up soon.
Oh, wait. Did we pick the 2 people who won the Jawbone headsets?
Now, these were 2 people based on the tweets. These are people who tweeted.
People tweeted.
Okay, yes. I have 2 winners. We have @4super, the number 4, SUPER.
You've won, okay.
And @MeetTravis, MEETTRAVIS. It was completely random. We just picked 2 people.
I don't care if it's random or not. If you picked it based on that, I can give it away.
I don't know these people. We picked them completely randomly.
So this is your roommate, Meet Travis.
My roommate, Meet Travis, and my best friend @4super.
Okay, so congratulations to those people. You just got yourself a Jawbone headset who are not sponsors of the program, but maybe they should be. And did we have a pack?
Bing. We have a Bing review contest.
Yes. Who won? I'm going to let you pick.
The blogger's name is Erica Blanchard. I have a link for you so we can track
Erica
her down.
Blanchard.
She wrote a really great, very in-depth, very thorough review. Had some images in it, lots of multimedia, a rundown of every different part of the show.
Congratulations to Erica.
Well
you win a $500 Mahalo pack. Thank you, Bing, for sponsoring the program. Last news story, please.
Last news story, we'll talk about ZocDoc. ZocDoc made its public debut at the TechCrunch 40 conference in 2007. The site has finally launched in San Francisco, or will launch in San Francisco on Monday. It's already been operational in New York City and Washington, D.C. What they do is they allow you to quickly look up a local doctor's availability and book an appointment directly from the web. It's basically like Open Table, but for medical help.
Genius.
Last month, 110,000 patients used the site to make appointments in D.C. and New York.
What?
Already, and it's launching on Monday in San Francisco. A major issue in launching in California, actually, is the long wait times many people have here before seeing doctors. That conflicts at times with ZocDoc's sort of same-day appointment kind of concept. Doctors pay $200 to $350 per month to hook up with a ZocDoc service. And then it works out of their office. They can have people setting up appointments right away. They're hoping to branch out to 2 more cities within the next 8 months. So are they moving too slowly to hit a tipping point? Is it taking too long to branch this out?
I tell you, with these kind of services, you have to have a good user experience, and you have to have some amount of density in the results. And this is why I call this the Yelp rollout. Yelp started in one city, got it right, and then moved to other cities.
Right.
And so other people have modeled their businesses like that. Make it work in one city, go to others. Foursquare did it, and it's the correct way to do it. They're doing it right, actually. I love this company. I remember when they pitched. Tyler, you remember ZocDoc, of course.
Yep. The guy tripped on the stage, broke his tooth, and the doctor in the audience.
Yeah. They put on a great show, and I mean, I'm looking at it right now. I'm on the site right now, just like looking at dentists. And it's like, here, this person is a dentist, and on a Monday she's got 130, 250. I mean, this is what everybody wants, and this is what being an entrepreneur is about. Find a pain point and try to make a visionary solution to solve it that you would want to use yourself. And if you just look at this, your dad's a dentist, right?
Yes.
I mean,
he runs a dental office.
He runs a dental office. I mean, would your dad not want to put the open appointments in here?
When they open this in L.A., he will be on it the first day.
Of course he will, because what if you have, I mean, your dad probably works, what, 1.5 days a week? He golfs the other 3.5?
He works about 3 days a week in that office.
So I'm not exaggerating that much.
No, not really. No.
So he works 3 days. He needs to make his bank that day. He sees 10 patients a day?
Probably less, probably 8.
Okay, so he's seeing, whatever that is. Is that 24 patients? It's called 25 patients a week.
That sounds right.
You got to have 3 people cancel.
Yes, that's all the time.
That must be the most annoying part of his business.
That is a huge part of the running a doctor's office.
Now he will charge that person a cancellation fee of $50, and he'll double down and get one or two of those refilled. It's found money, and he doesn't have to sit there and play full tilt poker while he's waiting for his next patient to come in. What does he do during those breaks? Probably loses like.
I have no idea. Paperwork or something.
He's probably playing full tilt poker or something. Surfing the interwebs. So.
Yeah, I bet.
What do you think?
Well, I was thinking about how they're just opening in San Francisco, and the question is, are they doing that too late? I always tell entrepreneurs to start small and really just kill it with like one group. And I don't know if that's geographically, like the way that they're doing it in New York, or with just one set of users. But Craigslist is a good example. It started in San Francisco, and then sort of word spread. In fact, a lot of the people who use Craigslist, I hear, are people who used to live in San Francisco who would move into other areas, and then of course tell all their friends about it.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
This has been a great program. Thank you to Ustream for streaming the show. Thank you to Bing for sponsoring. Tyler likes the recipes. I like the maps. Perhaps Phil likes the video search with the previews.
I know what you're getting at.
I'm not getting at anything. I'm getting at anything. We know that. Lon, what do you like about Bing?
I like the image search a lot, and I also like the maps.
Yeah,
I'm on Bing Maps now.
So you really?
Yeah.
Is that your default?
I use Bing Maps as my default now.
Interesting.
I like it better.
And this is what entrepreneurship is about. We like to see a little competition in the space, so thank you to Bing. Of course, DNA Mail, everybody loves DNA Mail, WebSpy, and at PowerVPS. You should thank the sponsors. This is your Giri, G-I-R-I. It is your Twist Giri, your honor to thank the sponsors on Twitter. And I will see you all next week. Thank you, Tyler, for incredible insights. Somebody please make a T-shirt that says, like sneakers at a funeral, and I will buy one, like sneakers at a funeral. That'd be a good one. You could have like a picture of a casket. Some superfan should make that as a T-shirt. I would like a superfan to make every one of those Tylerisms into a T-shirt, like a wheelchair at Disneyland, sneakers at a funeral, and betting against the Mayans.
Japanese jazz.
Betting against the Mayans. That would be a good one. You could have like the Mayans around a craps table, and you could have like just the person there betting against them. Putting, what is that, on the cum when they bet against everybody else or something? Somebody make those T-shirts. They're waiting for you, and you could make the money from them. I'll promote them on the show. You sell them. Thanks, Lon. The news, very well done. I know that you had a lot more stories. What was it? Is there another big story that we missed?
Nothing huge that we have to talk about. I had a few more. We had. We were going to talk maybe about ComScore, maybe about Seed, maybe about
Let's talk about
ComScore. ComScore. You want to do ComScore?
I'll just squeeze one more in.
In response to complaints from publishers that their traffic was being undercounted, ComScore is overhauling its entire system. The old system tracked small panels of users and then used this information to essentially sort of guess larger patterns. The new system is more of a hybrid, uses the panels, but includes actual records of recorded visits to the site, which they gather via tracking cookies.
Finally.
So now you sign up with ComScore, they put a cookie in your site, they use that actual data and balance it with their old system. ComScore says they already have 25% of the 50 biggest websites. Another 50% of top sites are willing to work within the system and will be integrating. If you already work with ComScore, you get an upgrade for free. Other companies will be charged $10,000 a year.
Fail.
Most of the companies switching over have said they've seen a traffic increase, but not all of them. A few sites have dipped. Would you sign up for ComScore with Mahalo, knowing that they have improved their system, and is it worth $10,000?
I would like to say this to ComScore. I hate you. I hope you die and go out of business. That's how I feel about ComScore. ComScore has effed me for a decade. For a decade. I hate these guys more than anybody. Every entrepreneur out there should boycott ComScore. You should not pay them. They are bastards. I think that this company is holding back the industry. I think these are the worst people in the industry. Really, honestly do. And the reason is they are gangsters and bullies. They want you to pay them $10,000 to get your numbers correct. Mm-hmm. And you know what? That is inappropriate. They came to me confidentially and said, we want to give it to you for free. We'll give it to you for free, Jason, so that you get other people to pay. And you know what I told them? Go F yourselves. I literally told them that. I said, I will never use your service. I hate ComScore forever. They purposely get your numbers wrong, I believe. And I've heard this from other people. I believe they purposely get your numbers wrong in order to get you to pay. And all of a sudden you pay and your numbers are correct. You know what that is? That's called...
extortion?
Extortion. It's a racket. I am disgusted by ComScore. I have always been disgusted by ComScore. And I will never work with that company unless... Oh, is this kind of turning into a jihad now?
Yeah, all right.
I was thinking we should get the gun.
Wait. We just started the Open Angel Forum. We don't.
No.
Speaking of which, Boulder, Colorado sold out for the sponsorships.
Oh, really? Well,
yeah,
5.
All 5.
5 for 5,
yeah.
so nobody else can go. Anyway, let me just say this. ComScore is going to be crushed by Quantcast. And also, I have inside information that Compete.com. So this is another thing, if you're listening to the show, this is a third tip that you could actually have an inside information on that you can make a blog post on TechCrunch or Rewrite Web about. Compete is going to have this very soon, I believe. I've heard from people. So if you're an entrepreneur, you should support Quantcast, which does not charge, or Compete. Google Analytics has a product, and I believe, and I've heard rumblings that Google will turn their analytics inside out and start doing this. And then finally, ComScore will die the death that they deserve. And
like a tauntaun on Hoth.
Like a tauntaun on Hoth, we will eviscerate, we will cut you in half, and we will sleep in your bloody guts and bathe in the warmth of your death, ComScore. Like a tauntaun on Hoth. What do you feel about ComScore?
I can't add anything to that.
No, honestly.
At AdBrite, we had to pay to get into the list. So they tracked our traffic. I don't know if it was accurate or not, but they tracked it. But to get into the list of top ad networks, so in other words, we would go to an advertiser and say, we're like the 4th biggest ad network behind Google, Yahoo and AOL. To get into that list, we had to pay, I think, which is weird. But
nice.
Anyway.
Like when they want to put you in those Who's Who books, but you have to pay to get your...
It's pure extortion. I think every entrepreneur out there should tweet right now, ComScore is extortion, do not support them. Is that slander? Am I close to slander right now?
Yeah, I think so.
I think
unless
right
they're...
Wait, how do I... Okay, hold on a second. I don't want to slander ComScore. Let me pull it back. What can I say that I really think that these are bad people without... Because I don't...
Well, I think these are bad people, perfectly legit.
Okay, so I think they're bad people.
You can't make an allegation you can't back up.
All right, so what allegations have I made? I think that... Okay, I would not be surprised. Can I say that?
I think
probably
it has to be that you are stating something and a reasonable person would believe that it is true, and then ComScore could prove that that it's not true.
I believe.
If you start with I believe, you're pretty much indemnified no matter what you say.
So I believe that they kill puppies in order to feed people in the ComScore cafeteria.
You could use the Sean Hannity trick. Some have said ComScore feeds puppies to one another.
On F Company, we used to say, rumor has it.
Yeah.
Let me just say this.
How do you respond to the rumors that ComScore...
I would like somebody to explain how ComScore has burned a hole in the ozone layer. Because through their practices, as literally don't know, I believe that it is extortion. I believe it is a form of extortion to make people pay to have correct stats. I believe with the open internet, we should all have correct stats. I believe that if you are an investor, ComScore is a publicly traded company, right?
Yes.
It's I believe, I'll take it a step further. I believe that if you are an investor in ComScore, you should sell your shares now because that company is going to go away. I believe the net value of ComScore stock will be 0. That's what Jason believes, personally.
Right.
I believe that all of the value in the company ComScore will be disintegrated by Quantcast and by Compete and other people who do not have extortion as their business model. If ComScore would like to sue me right now, please feel free to sue me for having an opinion. I would short the stock. If I was the kind of guy who shorted stocks, I would short the stock. I don't know anybody who shorts stocks.
Never met anyone who's...
I've never met a short stock.
I don't know.
But actually, Tyler is...
You're both looking at me.
Tyler, your Twitter handle is Steep Decline, is it not?
Yes.
You've been involved in the market of stocks.
Correct.
Do you believe that my premise, that the value of ComScore could go down because of free services that compete with them, do you believe that premise could be true?
I'm betting on that premise being true.
Oh, did you just short the stock?
I'm just now on the laptop while we talking.
The market's if past 1 o'clock, it's in after hours.
Now the market is everybody's racing to get their shorts in.
If they have after-hour privileges, which I do. But
how great would it be if after this rant on Monday, like the number of shorts? How do you know the number of shorts on a stock?
You're not concerned about the number.
No, I just want we'd be able to see it go up.
You're just going to judge it by if the stock went down or not, and the volume.
How great would it be on Monday if the stock went down 10%? If
on high volume.
Stock went down on high volume, that'd be so great. I'm going to write an editorial about how I feel, man. Send it to 20,000 people. ComScore FU.
It's rather inevitable because the transparency that they are fighting, tooth and nail is coming whether they want it or not in that space.
Yes.
I think you should all do a tweet right now that you've heard that ComScore kills puppies for their staff cafeteria.
Some have said. Some in the industry are saying.
The fact is, Google has better data than they do,
and also better food.
Already.
And also, when you go to the Google cafeteria, you're not eating dead puppies.
It's a side benefit.
A side benefit. Okay, that's called comedy. It's a joke. We don't believe ComScore is killing puppies.
But we'd still like to hear what they have to say.
I would like to know.
Them address the charge.
I would like to hear them address the charge
Yes.
of killing puppies. Phil Kaplan, so awesome to finally have you on the program. Congratulations on the success of AdBright. It's been amazing. And Blippy, I'm proud to be an angel investor in it. Thank you for giving me. I mean, it was literally very competitive. There were. I don't have all the inside information, but I know 10 people who wanted to be in the deal who did not get in. I feel lucky to be one of the 3 or 4 angels to be in it. I think it's going to be a tremendous success. I love the product. Everybody should try it. Blippy.com/Jason. And I gave these 2 away. I gave you 1. I got these 2. If somebody adds me on Blippy, I am going to give this for free to one of my Blippy followers. Jason, Blippy.com/Jason, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Blippy.com/Jason. By the way, if you make a service, please always do domain/username. If it's a social network, it just works better.
I know. I hate when I see domain/user/username or question mark user ID.
Oh my God, love of God. So anyway, we'll give this to one of my followers, and we'll see you all next time on This Week in Startups.
Spiked out, I could trip a referee. Tell by my attitude that I most definitely from.